that channel. Brian knows at the big desk.
Hey guys, yeah, 2 o'clock, couple hours left on an afternoon that's quickly becoming a negative one here for the market. What a about face and turn to the southbound side for all three U.S. markets. A bit of a mixed board to show you here right across this sector watch anyways, is going to be a little bit green and a little bit red. As you see, we have still some positivity coming through as far as tech is concerned specifically, but still some question marks around some individual names. Microsoft downside, Apple back to basically flat after starting the day very much to the upside. So we've given it all back basically right across the board, heading back southbound now. Banks lead as far as negativity is concerned right now. There is a lot of weakness as well coming from the healthcare group, coming from consumer durables, and also some of the utility stocks here as well. You can see the entire group pretty much in negative territory. Amazon still standout. Meta off earnings, well off the highs as well, 5.6%. A lot of strength from Semiconductor, still holding up nicely. Broadcom, NVIDIA, AMD, Texas Instruments, Boeing in here as well. Having a nice day. Back to the upside, but mixed across the board. Yeah, the market really not liking this headline that came out going back an hour or so ago. Bank of Japan going to look at reintroducing measures to tweak its yield curve control. So they've had it pegged at 0.5% for years and years and years. So it might affect things globally as a result. So that seemed to kick off the selling as far as the overall market is concerned. Meanwhile, we were higher to start as the Fed came out yesterday, as we saw this time yesterday, and reiterated that if they need to, they will raise rates again. Frank Caberna coming up in about 45 minutes or so. We'll get his take on yesterday, obviously, in the fallout for the market for currencies as well. The dollar back downside today, some of the yields back downside today. So we'll talk to him about what this means for the dollar. And we've been discussing the weakness specifically in the dollar versus the Japanese yen. So maybe this could finally turn that about face and head back to the upside. If you're with us in the first hour this morning, we were discussing Meta. Obviously a huge report coming off earnings after the close yesterday. Numbers across the board, just absolute monsters. But guys, you get this overall move in the market and things turn around pretty quick.
Right here.
As I'm getting myself, I just realized I'm not in the chat, so I'll get that fixed in a second.
Yeah,
but I'm glad we got Frank to talk about, on a day where the market actually moves on something with Bank of Japan there. We're going to have Frank in. If it was 20 years ago, probably talk more intelligently about yields and currencies. But yeah, I don't have to do that today. So there it is. I'm in the chat. Just going to make sure I can talk to you guys. That's always important. I did the one thing that it's been a while since I've done this before, where actually it's not, I haven't done this at all this year. I'm going to correct myself. Hasn't just been a while. I have not done this in 2023, where if a momentum stock is the #1 stock I had in the morning, I never turn red on it. That happened to me on Meta because I got overly invested in the 318 after missing it the first time. So I liked the dip buy on Meta, and I was pretty disciplined all morning, only taking good dips, taking my profit, being willing to stop out. Had that stop out there, that's a stop out there. So tight stops, entries only on wick bottoms, everything going absolutely to plan. And then right at 11 o'clock, it's the truth, not always an excuse, but it's the definite truth. We ended the show, went to the bathroom, Rob had to do something on my PC, and I missed that 318 that I was discussing. Like the over-under 318, you can't really... You got to pull up like the 15-minute chart to see where 318 came from. It was a previous resistance level going back to last week, and that's where I thought the next level down would be for a dip buy. So it got down there, it double bottomed. I wasn't there for it. Pull up to 320 a couple times. I decided to get out in front of it, lose, get out in front of it, add to it because I'm liking it, and then don't take much profit out when it goes, and then stop it out. So probably just too aggressive with the level when it had already happened. Bounce once, bounce twice, third time, fourth time, fifth time, I'm taking it. I never usually do that because I usually say 3 times the charm. If you haven't got it the first 2, maybe think about it in the other direction after. So it happens. It's still going to be a good day, but I always look back and say, what's the one thing I could have done differently? And if we do get back to 318, I probably look for maybe a short in that range. Still looking at that NASDAQ 15.75 level as well. If we can't get past that and this gets to 318, it feels like it should be a little bit of a short. you have to think about how strong Meta's been. So you don't want to be all doom and gloom on the longer time frame because that's a daily chart. So when you gap up that far, the fact that some profit taking happened, I wouldn't be overly worried about it when you see a trend like this. The trend's probably unbroken until it drops another 10%.
All right. So I've had my 2 best days pretty much back to back here. And both days, Meta has been an absolute disaster. So, you know, we should be staying away from it, but of course we are not. This is Meta today. You know, I mean, this is, again, the largest losing stock here on the board today, and we were buying these 320s, and we were getting out. Everything is fine. It's just when it came back in, every single time, we kept getting stopped out, and it doesn't even look that brutal on here, but some of these stop outs are like $1. Once it broke 320, we got out. We should have stayed away from that. We got some money back in there, took some more out, then dropped it again. It's not that when you look at the chart, it's not that it's that big of a disaster, but it is straight to the downside here. There's been some, you know, buying opportunities, obviously at 314, and, you know, but I haven't been able to hit this name. I'm always looking at this. All the earnings plays, especially Meta the last 2 days, I really looked at it with rose-colored glasses, meaning that, like, okay, it's got to go back up. Like, it just dropped $3. It can retrace $3. But if you've been able to scalp it, which has been fine, like, we made money into here. There's no problem. It was just early when we started going long. Like, that's a 321 long. These are 322s long. So when it broke, we had to get out at 320, which we wound up getting out at 319.70 or something like that. So it was these trades that haven't been good. We messed with it back here, and all is good on that. We are going to talk about all of these, and Amazon's coming up next. But look at the damage that we've been doing on Apple here today. Like, this is what I'm talking about, is that you can still have monster days, although slipping up on other names. Look at these Apple shorts. Short, quadunk. You guys saw me hit that. I told you my day was basically on this. We almost had 1,000 shares or so on this all the way to the upside. Then look at this. The reload is right here as well. And here's a complete flush down. Obviously, we don't have that many shares because we wrote down 195 as a potential stopping point there for Amazon, for Apple. When that came in, we started getting out. Look, 195.50, 195.25, 195 flat. Then there's the breakdown. So we're $2 right now. So this is what we've got in the money. You can see the positions at the bottom. We're $2 in the money on Amazon. And we're $2 in the money on Amazon right here. Look at this drop off. Boom, right there off VWAP. See you later. We did good holding on to this. We still got 20% of it. We're going to talk about Amazon in a minute. And then in what is my TDOC revenge trade here, we missed QS early. That was our bad. We were talking about QS all yesterday, about the short float, about what happened to TDOC. We gave you a $3 winner yesterday on TDOC, breaking 26. I ignored QuantumScape all morning, just didn't want to look at it. Obviously, I told you that we had a little bit bigger fish to fry there. And you could see right now that that is exactly the case here, because now you're seeing some downside pushes here in QuantumScape. We waited for this to give us that level of 111.75. It gave it to us. We shorted it twice in there, and then had some nice downside moves. So you're coming back when we have 3 stocks that are all over $1 in the money, all to the short side, watching this NASDAQ fall down here today. It's only Thursday, but this is what happened on Tesla earnings, Netflix earnings, and now we get Meta earnings, which are good, but the market's fading all these moves, which is kind of funny, Brendan and Sharif, because the chip names are actually still green. They might not be now, but they were green for the majority of this morning.
AMD just broke support.
AMD just broke, but is it still?
Oh no, it's up 2%, but it just broke a decent support level. You know what? I'll get to it right now because I don't even see the chip stocks on there. The entire morning, the chips were leading the rally and holding on to basically everything we had. I just put a poll up because once I saw that happen, it's like, are we red or green at the close on the NASDAQ? That's going to be the poll. You should be able, if I didn't screw it up just now, you should be able to vote on it. But there goes support on AMD. NVIDIA, not quite yet. Sorry, I was just putting some orders on Tupperware. That's what I'm looking at. NVIDIA, close to breaking support. If these give it up 3%, up 2.3%, that's it. I mean, Lam had a good quarter, so they were up 10%, and probably some sympathy in a lot of the chip names. And now they're starting to come right back in there. So it's going to be hard for us to stay green if the strongest names in tech that were holding us up are starting to roll over.
I know, I had to refresh that board when we came on there too, because not only are they green, Semiconductor is still quite green, as we saw there, 2% to the upside. So NASDAQ back to about 0.4, 0.5%, still in positive territory. S&P just went red, so we are officially negative. Yeah, you saw a sound hound there. There was a big volume spike here, on a short report. So Culper Research coming out. I mean, talk about kicking something when it's down. Like at the low of the day, they come out with a short report when it's down 9.5% already. Just trying to milk that short. You know, a few extra pennies there at the low of the day before they start to cover maybe. But yeah, heads up on SoundHound. Let's talk about Amazon. This was during lunch. Apparently, they're now testing new search capabilities for e-commerce using their version of AI. That was according to Axios. This is what we were talking about this morning, this Amazon Fresh with more job cuts coming through.
Yeah, and don't forget the England headline where they're facing up to 1,000 workers walking off the job at 2 different Amazon fulfillment centers. The union there saying they're looking for pay increases. Amazon responding back saying you've got a 37% increase since 2018, so no go.
Still positive for now, but not looking too great here for Amazon.
Yeah, so just give me a second. I had the chart up, and then Tupperware kind of came to the downside. I didn't have any bids out on Tupperware. You guys saw the chart. Like I was sitting in this consolidation short, but I had absolutely nothing bidding underneath 280. It just broke 280. Took some out 78. Took some out 71. I just like the breakdown at this price. I like the breakout at this price earlier. So I like it's $3. So I like to break down at that price as well. Let me go to my 15 because I had this all teed up and was ready to talk about Amazon, and then
I mean, you
there you go. So here's Amazon. Now, there's a good reason why you set stop orders, but an even better reason sometimes to be ready to go, because I had one level of concern on Amazon, and you can see it was a great long above, never really followed through. The market didn't follow through. And when he broke 131.50, it's been all downside since. This is a level that Obi and I were talking about this like back here when it made this bounce, but this has been essentially one of the better levels on big tech. This mid 131 range on Amazon. It's been a big time pivot point. The last time it flushed from here, the bottom was 128. So if you're looking for a dip buy, you closed at 128.15. The last time it failed this exact level, it got to 128.30. So I think that's about where you'd look for Amazon buyers to be today, which is $1 lower.
All right, we, part of being a trader and being here for 22 years is you'll hear me say sometimes, like, like the spidey sense is going off or something like that. The reason why we have $2, $3 winners on board right now, plus QS with $1 is because we flipped over to the short. Obviously, the market started to break, and I just went over to a name that I knew was strong today, but just was bouncing off some of these tops, right? And that was basically Amazon. As soon as we took VWAP right there, I knew we had this 132 top, so we just went short there. Like, you want to talk about an R to R? This is now $2.50 in the money to the downside. We still have a quarter of this trade on, 20%, sorry, of this trade on board, and this risk to reward was 25 cents. So, like I said, if you're rocking with my trades, this one right here is now 230. So this is 10 to 1 risk to reward on the last quarter of a piece. Same kind of thing for Apple. This is what we're trying to do more often, is put on big trades and see where they go. So Amazon right now obviously has been an awesome trade today. We wrote down here on the sticky note that the long that we wanted was 128.50. So if that comes into play, then hey, that's maybe where we'll cover this. But for right now, Amazon's in a free fall. We're just watching the money sort of do something like this right now as like look at these positions, man. QuantumScape is just getting better and better and better to the downside right now as it continues its move down. And we've done really well getting out at key levels, including 11. And this is another one R to R right now. This is 4 to 1 right now. Our out was, or sorry, more than that. Well, our out was 12, and we're short at 80. So that's 20 cents to give us now $1.02, so 5 to 1 on this one. And then Apple, we really emptied it out. So Apple, although this is a fantastic trade, I wasn't sure about these levels right into here, 195.50. So you could see we have too many outs right there, and now Apple's absolutely cranking as well. So, I mean, all these names giving it back. Whoever put red on the NASDAQ, I feel like is going to be wrong, but it is a big move to the downside right now, and just trying to find base at 15,600. So, all right, let's go over back. So anyways, Amazon downside move. Love the stock, love the name. It's just today, when the market starts to go down, you want to get those inflated names, and you're getting that in Amazon, Google, Apple. I mean, every tech name is going to be leading the way to the downside here today just because of the moves it's had recently, sans the chips. I mean, we don't really know what's going on there. Intel, I kind of think that Wow, Apple's now at 194. I mean, maybe we just cover this, man. I'm thinking about covering this at 194.40. So we could even do that live right now. So let's go like this, 194.41. If it breaks back above that, we will get the heck out of Dodge for this trade. Like, you know, you got to take profits at some point. Happy doing it now. But I'm wondering if Intel is reporting later on today, right?
Speaking of which, come to Intel for a second because it just wicked the bottom.
Right.
I don't know where my data is from earlier in the morning, but I was shorting this level in front of 34.50. It's missing the flush down. Let's do this. You can see the fills there, but I'll show my black chart because it's doing the exact same thing. Okay. That's fine. So I was shorting 34.40 early and then getting out 34.20. Had my nice little tight stop there. The third time was not a charm. Go figure. It's a decent saying. Then it did this at 35. And the beauty of that move was this was AMD topping out at 115. You had NVIDIA topping out at 475 as well. And then Intel went wicked to 35 and change, I think. Actually, maybe just in the evens. A little dark pool wick a cent above. And shorted that one. Broke to VWAP just now, but that 34.50, the halfway back, catching a bit of a bid. So I think take some profits. They report after market tonight. I don't know, man. The last couple of times that the report wasn't even all that great, the stock has managed to rally twice. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do my best when the numbers aren't, if the numbers aren't great tonight, to not be overly attached to what I think of the fundamentals in the report and just try to trade the price action. I've done that poorly on Intel the last 2 times on earnings because they've been ripping when I haven't thought the quarters were all that good.
Yeah, so Intel's been a tough trade for sure, even for I into that. But and then today, what I was getting at right there was just the fact that maybe people are just excited about Intel earnings, so the chips are kind of sticking up. This is one of the red names that we have here today on Intel. We went short early. You guys saw me do this live on the show. Right when we went off the air, though, was when it broke, right at 11 o'clock. So it broke this bottom range right here. So what we were trying to do, and I'm, you know, this is the way we're going to trade. I'm not going to change it. Whoa, I'm going to change how to use ellipses. But right there, it was sort of all of this garbage in here. The minute that broke, you know, that's when we got out, breaking VWAP through 34.50 back, breaking it back up to the upside. So in what was a good trade there early, remember we took and I was like, oh my God, we took 6 cents on Intel or whatever it was. I think it was 10 cents. But then there's the rip back up. So Intel is a red name for me today. Actually, the other red name I have is AMD. AMD, Intel, and Meta, 3 red names for me today. And we'll review some of those as we go.
Nice. EV stocks, we had high hopes for this morning, but yeah, that's gone now too. I was just saying to Sharif here, what a reversal candle forming on all of these charts. Go through the entire group. I mean, the Chinese ones on the board there, we were discussing the past couple of days here. Xpeng obviously on the Volkswagen headline, but here's now 1.7% downside for Rivian. It was up about the same amount when we started this morning in the pre-market. I mean, there's a number of individual things here. Needham this morning with a positive note on Rivian. This Lucid Air Sapphire finally has a release date for the U.S. market, but nothing significant today as we saw yesterday. Yeah,
not really anything of note, but the Chinese EVs holding up a little bit better. XPEV 6 1/3% to the high side, and NIO 2 1/4%, while the North American and the others are all in the red at the moment, Brenda.
Yeah, basically session lows across the board here too, guys.
So interesting, NIO was the first trade I had. I'll go to Y. Well, the Y is kind of obvious if you look at the daily chart. This is 14, and there was a discussion in the morning show. I know some people in the chat were like, yeah, that can be a short off that level. I totally agree. When you get to a level like this, I think you can decide the way that you want to play it. I decided I wanted to go for the breakout long. You can always work the short, and then if it fails, look for the short trade. So I was looking at the 14 breakout. It happened early, so this is the break at 14 even. It gets to 14.20 and fails it. At that time, it's like, okay, if it's going to go all day, I think you want to try to hold back to this. But if it rejects at 1-to-1, it's a pre-market. It's not even 9 o'clock yet. The Chinese ADRs have a history of doing Huaduns at the open. So I'm like, I'll stop out. And if it looks good, holding 12, 13.80, I'll go for the long again above 14. That just never happens. So if it doesn't happen, you take your stop out. It doesn't actually set up at that level. I don't have to take the long. If you were looking short at the 14 level, then, hey, there's probably a million ways you could have done it. All of them would have worked out. As far as I'm concerned, it would have been hard to lost on that trade. So I ended up winning on NIO, but then I lost on the other name, and I'll go back to the daily chart because this is my favorite looking daily chart in a while. It's this Rivian breakout. I've been waiting forever for this thing to break away from this level. Sometimes you gap up instead of getting the clean break. So yesterday we were long, maybe better success even though it was choppy, but yeah, you gap up above that level and then it just gave it up today. And all you can really do in that situation is kind of take your L's. So I took a couple of longs, took a couple of L's on Rivian. I didn't trade XPeng today, but I don't know. Did you trade XPeng today?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, well, you can talk about XPeng, but I will say, like, NEO held up okay. XPeng has held up very well.
Yeah, so XPEV, and I actually lied when I said the 3 names that I was down. There's one more added on to here, and that is XPEV, and that was basically something that, you know, again, we don't have that crystal ball, but again, it did break 19 or break 20 bucks. So we got out of that. So we took the long here at 20.30. I just want everyone to notice that the hits are small. The wins are grande. So that's the difference here. But still, to have bought that back at 19.50, I think that's something that, and again, looking at charts is something that, it always drives you mad because you're going to look back and say like, oh, how do we not miss that? And I mean, the honest truth is that you're looking at too many names, and that's why when I say sometimes like trade a little bit different when you're on the show than when you're off the show and things like that. Like that's why when you come back on, you're seeing some of these positions. It's like right into there. Once it comes down here to 19.50, this is worth a shot. I don't think that 19.50 it's going to stop there. But if you use yesterday's bottom, remember what was happening yesterday? The Fed and just the crazy movements in the market. Well, they didn't break 19.35 right here. So, like, if you take a long at 50 there, you have about 20 cents worth of risk, and that's all that I am. Risk to reward trader. There's nothing else. Well, support and resistance using them as a risk to reward. But like, that's 15 cents. And then even if you say, okay, let's take it out for 15 cents, that happens real quick. And then now you're just kind of like, okay, well in the money on that trade. So I feel like definite missed opportunity there was XPeng. We didn't trade Tesla today or anything like that. Perhaps we'll review that as the day goes on. But I'm going to say Tesla just tanked.
Is that 2 days in a row?
Would be my guess. Yeah. So I'm almost getting ready to buy some Tesla now, man. I mean, Tesla 270 down to 260. That's $10. Still looking for that 250 range, but it is bouncing off 260 again. So I always want to look at yesterday's holding spots, especially when you get like such a big event like we did yesterday when stocks had the opportunity to go down but held. I mean, look at this again. Like just to call it as simple as you can. There's 263 on Tesla, that held. Well, look what held today at 10:30, 263, giving you $4 back to 267.50. So, sometimes it's just to look and not get too cute with stocks. That's what matters. And oh, by the way, we'll just do that, and you might see we are now out of Apple. So again, here's the Apple out, right? It's just pretty simple. Takes down the 21 period. Plus, we talked about this little bottom area right there at 194.50. So it breaks out. We get out at 194.40, exactly as discussed. Sure, we missed 40 cents, but we get $2, right? And so that was good. You can't always pick the bottoms, but I'm happy to get out right there for Apple. So only 2 more shorts left on board here.
I remember that. I think so, yeah. We were just talking about commercials. Interesting numbers, to say the least. We were discussing Microsoft, obviously. There was this Bank of Japan in my mind. The government of Japan coming out this morning, that's very small, to basically say that Microsoft is going to work with them to implement ChatGPT for clerical work and calculations, I think was the way they phrased it, for the actual government of Japan, which is questionable to say the least, but there was that, and then you saw some pretty interesting numbers when it comes to Microsoft and Netflix.
Yeah, that was the good news there. Netflix actually looking to separate from Microsoft. You'll recall early in the year they got into an ad deal where Microsoft was going to essentially run the ads for Netflix. Well, Netflix wanted to cover its rear end and basically got a minimum guarantee to say, if we don't sell X amount of ads, Microsoft is to pay me back, and that looks like what's happening here. Netflix looking to go on their own now, selling $35 to $45 per 1,000 views. Brendo tells me that's good. Also, the other bad headline for this name is that the EC, the European Commission, looking to investigate it for abusing its power for basically blending in Teams with its software and restricting interoperability between other suites and Teams.
$35 to $40 is remarkable. Just to compare, The average CPM on YouTube is between $2 and $5 average. So they're getting $35 to $45 per 1,000 views on Netflix, guys.
It's good. It is good.
I like.
But yeah, the regulators coming at big tech. Oh my goodness, what? That's entirely new and it's never happened before. And you don't see those headlines once a week. I could leave that one out of the way. So this morning, there was pretty much only one stock in the big tech range that I thought set up for a short. I'm not gonna. You can see I didn't have it on Microsoft. It probably didn't come right into fill. I was being really picky. Like 342 was yesterday's top. It was setting up. The way I saw it, you were already rejecting that massive when they price the AI. Basically when they price that month subscription. I just felt like if you sell that news off for 1, 2, 3 days in a row, then earnings, it was trending to the downside. And when you had a resistance level, previous high on the Fed day, when everything rallied to put a lower high in, I'm like, okay, 342, that's a short level. It looked like it was going to wick up there. I was ready for it. It got to 341, and it just never pressed to 42 for the shorts. I didn't get it. The first opportunity was the lower high. I played the range and stopped doing it, which is a mistake. You can see it's continuing to go to the downside. You're now through yesterday's bottom. So the tricky thing about it here, though, is while it looks like, okay, the next stair step down is underneath yesterday's low, you should short the next consolidation. The tricky part of that is what's going on with the market, in that we're 0.1 and we're more or less right at yesterday's close level. So if the NASDAQ holds the close, you could be trying to get into a short off the bottom on Microsoft. So it was a better setup, I would say, here than it might be down here underneath 333. All that can change. If we start going and holding red, maybe that's a bit of a different story. But I don't know. We always talk about this. It's really tough sometimes in the afternoon to put on a short at the end of the day, at the low of the day, or a long at the high of the day. Because often you're finding big support and resistance levels that you liked from earlier on, and you're having to go against that. So I'm not happy with not getting into this one. I mean, that's like right as we came back on air. I didn't even have Microsoft up. I was looking at the chips at the time. But yeah, that was a missed opportunity at 334. Maybe we get it again. Something tells me we might not. But we are now 0.03% on the NASDAQ. And it's closed red, by the way.
Right.
So if you're one of because the poll, and by the way, if you want to be in the chat, talk to us, ask questions, have them answered. If you want to engage in the poll, you have to be a subscriber. So go ahead. If you haven't done it, hit the subscribe right now. Hit the like button as well. It is 68% saying red. So 2/3 of you, more than 2/3 of you, think the market's going to go lower. I guess we kind of do too. Although I would say in my defense, I'm only short, I'm long two-way short Sundial, so throw those two out. I'm only short Intel, a chip name. I'm looking for something else. Tupperware shouldn't care what the market does. Mm-hmm. So I don't think I'm all and you're only short a couple of names. QuantumScape's not going to care either. Well,
Well, we got out of our Apple.
QuantumScape cares more than Tupperware does if the market flushes, I would say.
Yes, well, Tupperware does, yeah.
Tupperware shouldn't care at all.
No. I mean, ever since Jerome Powell announced that yesterday. No, we're just joking. He didn't say anything about Tupperware. All right, so just a quick cover here. If Amazon does break above this 129.10 area right there. Hey guys, we're only $3 right now in the money. But if Amazon does break back down below or above this 129.10, we'll just get rid of that one. But then look, we got rid of our Apple right there at 194.35 or 40 exactly, and then it dropped another 60 cents, and we were like, oh look, that's a good trade. And then so you gotta, you definitely have to catch these stocks on the way down, average out of them. But yeah, Microsoft, just another one of those tech names, second day play off of earnings. Not great yesterday, not great today. We'll wait to see what happens here. I say you buy names on the third day, but with all these tech earnings lined up, you might have to wait till a couple of days after we get through earnings season to see exactly what the flush is all about. I've been raising cash, not in the last little while, but I am waiting for a little bit of a dip down, and I think Microsoft is actually getting pretty close. And if it does continue this move to the downside, then I could see myself picking something up here on Mr. Softy. 365 high, 370 high, pulled back like 10% from there down to 330. I still think that into here, 315, 320 might be something. You're back down to the 50 period. Any retracement to the 200 is a guaranteed buy. I don't care where the 200 period is. But for right now, I still think that Microsoft has a chance to get down to 320 or so. I mean, it could happen tomorrow, of which I don't mind nibbling into some of that. But yeah, anyways. Tech continues to be the cause of concern today as we continue to push lower, despite what the dollar's doing. And I'm sure we're going to talk about that with Frank in just a matter of minutes.
Yeah, coming up in about 15 minutes, we'll speak to Mr. Caberna. Here is Intel just going red. So relative weakness when it comes to Intel versus the entire group, chips in general, ahead of earnings tonight after the close.
Yeah, the first of the chip names to report today, Brendo, but analysts have been worried about this stock for a while. They're worried that surging demand for artificial intelligence is going to divert funds away from the company's traditional process, which is our CPUs, obviously.
So INTC takes the spotlight today, guys.
Yeah, so let me get this out of the way.
Long AMD.
First off, Intel is at the low of the day, so I'm gonna if it breaks up from here, I'm trailing it out at this point. But we didn't mention this, at least on the midday show. I do believe we did say, at least I put it in the chat, that there was a reason why there's a move in some of the chips. Like Lam did have earnings today. They had great earnings and they were breaking out. They were up 10%. Everything all good. They've been a great runner. Look at the great breakout. No one trades this stock as a day trade, but quality company there in the semi-equipment names. And that was helping to drag the market up. NVIDIA was strong. AMD was strong. Sean will get to that in a quick second. But yeah, Intel reported aftermarket. Are they strong? Well, they were, and now we've gone red. But you're at that low. This is exactly where it would not make the next break to the downside. My bid, I'm just going to trail. Instead of having a bid, I can trail at the bottom and see if it breaks the low. So I'm going to go trailing stop here on this. If it holds that bottom, great. Maybe you can catch a little bit of a bid. I'm not expecting to have a breakout quarter. I care about what their margins are going to be aftermarket. But yeah, the chips can lead the way. Maybe again tomorrow, but this just turned red and most of them getting pretty weak.
All right. I don't know if you guys just heard me before we went over to Neil. I said I'm going long AMD. So we did that, and we got down here. We got a great fill down there at 111.60. Got it out a little bit on a bump up, but this is now we're just out of just a little bit of that trade. We're actually out of 20% only, but we're going to watch out for this. Okay, here we go. We're going to break this 1150. So 111.50, I was just hoping that if there was going to be some strength, right now as, oh man, Amazon's $3, but we're about to get slipped out right now on AMD as it's starting to go down. I thought we would use this 111.50 as an area of support right into here in between this area. I love trading off the half dollars, but whoa. Oops, I'm still on the ellipse. But this looks like it is going to break. So we'll test it right now down here. I'm not going to average in. If it works, it works. There it is, trying to get back to, trying to get back up to the upside. But AMD is going to slip up a little bit here, it looks like. We're only long at 65. So if we don't like it, we could take an amazing 6-cent hit right now. But I like it. So let's just wait to see what exactly does happen here with AMD. I don't love the trade, but if anything's going to bounce, if the market does find a bottom, and what I'm thinking about is this 15,600 right now on the NASDAQ that's coming into play here. So we'll see if it can bounce off that. We literally just did, but not too much bounce here in what is the most fabled names out here, including AMD, NVIDIA, Intel, all of that. So ahead of Intel earnings, we'll have to watch out for AMD. Looks like there's a little bit of a slippery slope right now. I'd love to get some of these out at 112, man. So we'll see if that can come into play coming up very, very soon. AMD, we're out of the money 5 cents, and here I am panicking, but does look like, look at these pushes. Keeps on pushing down. So watch out for a break here at 50 on advanced micro devices. Then we'll be cleaned out of that position.
So quickly, I want to get to this super chat very quick. Edwin C. So was there news for the drop? At the timing of the drop, there was the news out of the Bank of Japan that Brennan can probably repeat at some point. He's going to be talking about that with Frank, so I don't want to get, they basically leaked information about rates. You read about that, Ronan. And then at the same time, you were at a technical top on a lot of the chip names, which were pretty strong. So I think you get a convergence of those two things, and the market falls. I'm going to explain two of the positions I'm in best way I can. Anyone that remembers the last time Tilray went up, I shorted Sundial. I did the same thing again. Only difference is I'm long the Tilray breakout. Like I took this 15 break long, and when it got to the top and couldn't break the high, this is like Sundial, like this was pressing higher in Tilray and the break was working, and Sundial just got there and stopped at the high of the day. And I'm just sitting there watching it do nothing. This is a 15-minute chart. It just couldn't break. And I'm like, okay, I'll just sell on the offer. If it's gonna fill me, I'll give it 1 cent and see what happens. And because Tilray was already coming to the downside, I'm like, well, if Tilray falls, it's gonna drip again. So it's been dripping. I have bids every single cent. So that's probably, unless Tilray goes ham, that might be the last time I mention this. But Tilray's still in the money as a long. Again, it was just a breakout trade. I'm not endorsing Tilray or anything like that. It was just a breakout trade. That's all we're looking at. Nvidia just broke 465.
Yeah, this is getting nasty.
And this is the morning, oh, this is tricky. Everything always looks good as a bottom pick when you're looking at a chart like that. It doesn't always mean it's a good idea. 463.50, the bottom, indulge me here. Yeah, wow. So there's a pretty sizable gap between this low and the highs we had yesterday, which is like $3 to $5. Not really feeling it on Nvidia. Because if Nvidia breaks that low, there's actually a lot of room to the downside. When that sets up, I feel like you almost want to be short Nvidia, but I don't see a short entry there. I have to go back over to Tupperware because this just bounced. So it holds on to 265 here. Best fill was at 70s, and it's kind of pumping back up. I didn't reload there, and this would be the third time it tests. So I probably will not reload it, so I have to watch out. Don't want this breaking back above VWAP and then squeezing again on me. I was long early. Now I'm into the short on top. Shouldn't care what the market's doing. If it did, it would be tanking, right? Like it wouldn't be like a couple cents in the money. It'd be like 20 cents in the money if it cared what the market was going to do here. And just in case you're watching Apple, Tesla, the stock that for 2 days in a row, I have not traded Tesla. I got to go to the 15-minute to see where we're headed on this thing.
Oh, man, we are headed
and we're possibly here, 255. That's the bottom on the week. That is the last line of support until you get to obviously the round number of 250. 250 is a different level. I mean, 250, if we get there, that's $8 from here. If I see that in the afternoon, I'm probably going for the long off it. 55, I'm probably looking for a false break. Like fail break of a 55, get it on the way back up. That's $3 away. So if there's a short to be had off 60s, I think that could be worth it. But I'm staring at the chips, and Tesla is bleeding.
Yeah, man. I mean, oh, that's too bad. Amazon is now monstrous in the money. We can change our stop on that. AMD definitely did not work out to the downside. We've got, you ready, Fabian? Okay, let's go back to Brendo.
Yeah, rundown brought to you by Trade Ideas, real-time scanning and alerting used on the desk by everyone you see on the show. See what's moving in the moment. Check out the QR code, bottom right corner of the screen, guys. Take advantage of this if you haven't. Great deal, 20% off. TraderTv.20. Shout out to our friends over at Trade Ideas.
Still in the calendar, though, for some reason.
Thank you very much. We were just actually talking, like, he's like, oh, I thought we had Danielle Shea today. It would be interesting to have Danielle at the end of a week when you have options expiration. But this is now really, we're through 15.6 on the NASDAQ. We're 0.2% to the downside. This has turned into a pretty big bleed. This is a 15-minute chart. And once you're through here, which we are, once we're through here, come on, Neil, we're well through 15.6. I look to call it the Fed bottom, because yesterday was a Fed, so 15.52 would be it. Hold on to your butts, because it's getting pretty ugly. Even Tilray starting to fall. So let me just double check, because I'm pretty sure I should stop out of the last of my Tilray shares. It hasn't broken VWAP yet, but it's probably going to happen relatively soon here. So I'm going to be out of Tilray in just a couple of cents. It's going to give it up, and then I can hang on to SN Sundial, which is going to be my favorite play. So there's my stop on Tilray. Didn't have to worry about it. As that happened, we get to 50 and the 49, so we ring Reggie. That was a break-even stop on Tilray, but this is turning into one of the easier trades. Tilray squeezes, wait for it to stop and short Sundial. Just make sure there's no news on Sundial. There's not a reason for it to be going up. Where is the bottom going to be on some of these? That's going to be the big thing. I mean, you can call it, yeah, Fed top it was, Zoltan. That should have been the other thing to look at, would have been what are those highs we made, but you got to be forward looking at this point in this move to the downside. Because if you're not already short something, where can you join a move? Where can you find a bottom? Microsoft is now down 2%. It's getting its butt kicked. Edwin at 45.64.26. The ES turns red on the week. Is that what you guys see there from your analysis? I mean, all I can do is pull up the chart. Like, you've already done it. Like, I have zero
Yeah,
reason
you
not to
tell
trust
us,
you. Like,
but-
you tell me. You just looked at the chart. All I can do is pull up the chart as well and see where is Friday on this puppy that's here. Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. I mean, like, I'm not going to go and check it to the actual cent, but you look like you're absolutely right. And look, maybe that ends up being a support level on the S&P 500. It's, again, all you can do is look at it and say, how do we behave when we're down there the last couple times, which is rally away from it pretty decisively, hold the bottom, rally away from it twice, and when we and it was previous resistance that broke out. So typically when I see that, it's like, okay, with resistance, that turns into a breakout, that turns into support. You want to give it the chance to be support again. The easy answer would be if you're short and looking for a place to take profit, then in front of a support level like that isn't a bad place to get paid a bit. And don't just gamble that it's going to be a bottom until it shows you some strength. I always prefer to play an equity at a key level as opposed to, like, sort of guessing a bottom on the futures, because I don't really trade the futures. And when I say I don't really trade the futures, I don't trade them at all. It's been a very long time. I traded the micros like once or twice since we've been on YouTube, and that was to be in it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I think it has to be specific. Like, I'll trade the TQs yesterday on Fed days,
right,
CPI
Fed day,
numbers,
CPI, that kind of a thing. But outside of
what's
that,
the other one? The unemployment rate, things like that, where you get big
jobs.
moves. And then I just prefer to trade that because I know the liquidity is going to be there in the futures, basically, 24 hours a day type of thing. And if we get the TQQs going on, then we do like that as well. But okay, I don't know if we updated it well before or not, but we were looking at a couple plays here on Amazon. It's now dropping down. It's continuously going, man. So I'm just going to wait for 129. Obviously, we'll give some back. We'll take $3 if it doesn't work out here. But I mean, I want to be able to get Amazon here. Would have loved to take a 128. Our initial call was 128.50 for the long. So it just came back into that 128. I mean, what I'm talking about is here. Look at the new sticky notes, man. We've got the logo on there and everything now. So putting some of the money back to work. Thank you for all the super chats and everything like that. But anyways, 128.50 looks like it's going to break. I don't want to just get out here. I don't mind if this is kind of an area for concern here for Amazon. Here's 128, just fell back in. The reason why we liked 128.50 is we talked about that yesterday. Here's 4 o'clock. So that was a spot right there where we closed, 128.25, 128.50. So now that we've taken that out to the downside, damn you, AMD, honestly. Tried to get long. I mean, we wrote down also AMD long here near that 110. It only dropped down to 110. 110. Yeah, so here's me going long on AMD. You just saw me lose on that, but that was okay. The bigger loss on AMD was this morning. Well, not even a big loss, but we tried to, this is the craziest part, man. We tried to go short right there, and look at the prices that we tried to go short, first of all. 114, got a couple hits in there, and then look at this, boom. Nice move to the downside there on AMD as it just continued to go, and then we just tried a long. And then right in there, we just missed it, man. We were at 110.75, literally that bottom of the day, going to give it a quarter, but it bounced off of us again, which is fine, man. This is what's going to happen. Nice downside push there for AMD. Probably could have got some longs, right there. And this is what I heard Prad say this the other day, because I was talking about it as well. And that is that trading sometimes it's a tough job if you're caught on stock and it's like, oh my God, what did I do here? Like, I kind of get those feelings when I was trading Meta, and I kept talking about it earlier on today. Like, it's just frustrating because you actually don't know if you're wrong until you're wrong. But those of you that were here this morning, you heard me basically battle my own demons right here, and I was like, I know Meta doesn't want to go, right? All of us felt like that. A 323, 324, but yet I still kept going long, I was like, okay, well, if it breaks, it breaks, and that's that. So we kind of knew that it was going to break that 320 or at least go test it. So buying these dips at 322 is just greed, trying to make like $1 and then waiting for that big breakup. But unfortunately, you can all see what the futures did, straight to the downside. So all we had to do was leave it alone, try to regroup it until it came back to a decent level that we saw, made some money back there, and that's it. So we made money back on Meta, but it was just this morning stubbornness in there that I felt little silly about losing right there. So yeah, that was the problem there. Yes, sir. So 317, good takes on that. Look, Meta's still up 5%, but it's obviously a shell of what it was earlier. All righty then. It is now 240. Look at this, man. Like, Frank's supposed to come on 2:45. Look at this guy. This guy's so punctual.
It's a pro.
This guy is a true professional. So, you know, Frank, let us know if things don't work out at IG. You know, we have a spot here for you. Maybe I have to discuss that.
Sit
But
right,
yeah, he doesn't want to sit back there, man. He's going to be on the show.
you can sit right there.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get the
Desk,
3-box
there's-
going on there. This guy's all over
You
it.
can make a session.
All right, it's Brendan, and one person that obviously, you know, runs this whole ship, Brendan over there right now. Aye, Captain, take it away.
There he is, Frank Caberna, senior content strategist over at IG in Chicago, back with us for a little bit of a wrap-up here on what has been a busy week, but ahead of more data, Frank, to come tomorrow morning before we get things going as far as equities are concerned anyways at 8:30 in the pre-market. I want to get your take first off. Guys, if we can go to this just real quick on this Bank of Japan note that came out over lunchtime. I mean, break it down for us here if you can, Frank. What does this mean exactly, coming from Nikkei Asia, this note anyways, as far as the Bank of Japan going from they're either going to be negative 0.5% or positive 0.5% or somewhere in that window to now talking about maybe the possibility of expanding that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Really hawkish news out of the Bank of Japan. First time in years here, as they have held their medium to long-term interest rates. We don't do this a lot here in the U.S. Most central banks globally just affect the short-term overnight interest rates. And that's, you had the Fed hike 25 basis points. The European Central Bank this morning hiked 25 basis points, both that short-term interest rate, which from the looks of it, from this news item, looks like the Bank of Japan still will keep their short-term interest rate around zero, where it's been. You might have heard of the major economies, the major central banks being the US, Eurozone, UK, and Japan over the last several months. Japan, the only one not hiking interest rates. And on top of that, Brendan, they've actually kept their long-term interest rate, their 10-year, the equivalent of our 10-year treasury here in the U.S., underneath 50 basis points. And so the news story developing now, and this will go right into the Bank of Japan meeting that'll occur in the next few hours here, the discussion is, do we lift this 50 basis point ceiling on 10-year rates in Japan, which would be, it seems, you know, not that hawkish. 10-year rates here in the U.S. are above 4%, short-term rates well above 5% here in the U.S. But this is pretty much the first hawkish news. And remember, hawkish versus dovish is essentially bullish versus bearish for interest rates, essentially strong economic data for Japan, the first of that in several months, well over a year here, as that yen has just been pounded constantly over the last 18 months. And now you're seeing that yen climb significantly in the last couple hours.
Yeah, and we, going back to last month, going back a couple of weeks ago, we've been discussing this relative weakness, if you will, with the Japanese yen versus the US dollar. So is this a measure, you know, to kind of support that a little bit and get it going in the opposite direction? Or does this come back to the inflation fight? Because in that news story today, they were saying that they are seeing inflation continuing to creep up in Japan.
Yeah, and Japanese inflation hasn't been stuck at 0%. I think a lot of us have been waiting for anything out of the Bank of Japan. But you'll remember, even prior to inflation, the last 10-year bull run has been much slower for the Japanese economy. And so their idea was, yes, inflation is climbing north of 2% in Japan, although it topped out really around 3 or 4%, not as high as in the US, getting up to 8 and 9%. But they're really reluctant to raise interest rates so as to not thwart any economic growth out of Japan, which has been few and far between in the last decade, like I say, relative to the US and the Eurozone and the UK there. And so this could be the start of at least something. The bar is very, very low, given that they're still at negative 10 basis points in the short-term rate, 50 basis points of positive interest in the long-term rate. And like I say, the US, Euro area, and the UK are, 10 times that at this point. But given that they are exceeding this low bar, you're starting to see that yen move off of extremes. I mean, we've seen the dollar put in 20, 30-year extremes against the yen in the last 12 months of trade. We've seen the euro do the same, the pound do the same. And so at this point, if you're long yen, you'll probably take anything here as this news will obviously develop. We haven't even had the Bank of Japan meeting quite yet. We'll see what they formally say. But yeah, a really interesting story on top of what has been a pretty crazy 24 hours, especially for Forex markets and interest rate markets. Interest rates are screaming higher across every board here in the US and globally. But what's not screaming higher is the euro. Eurozone comes out this morning, hikes 25 basis points. Seems like it should lend to a strong euro currency, but they were maybe expecting 50 basis points, and the European Central Bank tipped their hand to being a little bit worried about the euro area economy and said that they're going to be essentially following the US here. And so a lot of people running up this euro against the US dollar got all the way back to 112 in recent trade on the idea that US might be slowing its interest rate hikes down a little bit, and the euro area and the UK might be exceeding them. Not the messaging that traders took from Lagarde's speech this morning, and obviously getting only to 25 basis points, Brendan, versus a potential for 50, matching the US, not really doing well for that euro currency, as that's down, I believe, around 100 pips here today.
And I mean, even the prelim GDP number that came out this morning, stronger than expected as well. So we're still seeing that underlying, what if we still continue to see that move in the wrong direction as it has been over the past couple of weeks. We get PCE coming up tomorrow morning. Obviously, we had a look at this chart going back to Tuesday when we spoke. Obviously, the Fed's preferred measure of inflation here, he was pointing to this in the news conference going back to yesterday and saying, these numbers that you have in this box are still the problem.
Yeah, it'll be really, really interesting as the expectation is pretty significantly lower than the most recent reading. You see a lot of 4.7s and 4.6s, Brendan, in the 2023 run of PCE numbers, and market expecting 4.3%. On the face of it, it doesn't feel like it's a lot lower. 0.3%. It doesn't feel like it would be a lot, but to get down to 4.3% or even lower than that, I think would go a long way to diminish interest rate expectations in the U.S. and maybe take a little bit of today's zeal out of the U.S. dollar. On the flip side of that, I think Powell has been noting that, anything in the mid fours, where we've been sticky for the last several months here, is potentially problematic, and he sees it. I think it was his speech in Europe a couple of weeks ago, Brendan, that he sees this inflation being pretty sticky for at least the next 6 to 12 months. So maybe people expecting that 4.3% or even lower because the trend has been lower globally and in the U.S. for inflation, but the number that Powell likes a lot, the PCE number, that core PCE number excluding energy and food, has not budged too much off of 4.6 or 4.7%. So 4.3 or lower than that expectation, I think would be a really dovish number for interest rates and the US dollar, but that would be a pretty significant jump.
Yeah, we were mentioning yesterday, he was about halfway through the press conference. Someone asked him about rate cuts coming in next year, and he kind of hinted at the fact that, yes, the market is pricing in some cuts as soon as next year. And the market equities, anyways, rallied on those comments initially. And then he went back to that same 2025 timeline as to when he sees and when he feels like the next significant cut anyway will come through. But it kept referring back to the fact that once, and they are restrictive now, but once rates get to that point of restrictiveness that they're happy with, that's the most important point that we need to emphasize, that they need to keep that buffer between real rates and where inflation is. So obviously that's going to be a moving target. I want to get your take here on going out to the end of the year, yes, but just saw as well, this country, Canada's 5-year yield touching its highest level since December of 2007. So, you know, we saw the Bank of Canada going back a couple of weeks ago raising as well. So it's still not done, but if you go out to the end of the year now on the CME Fed funds tool, I think it's around 7% or so worth of a cut, or the chance of a cut to come, but still basically saying this is where we're going to be at the end of the year.
Yeah, rates are definitely screaming higher globally here, as I think the Lagarde speech this morning sent rates a little bit higher. The inflation is still in our mind. Powell saying inflation's still in his mind yesterday. Lagarde saying it's still in her mind this morning. And then the fact that Bank of Japan is going to do anything, I think lets you know that globally people are worried about it. So yeah, not surprised to see Canadian rates climbing to new highs, as well as we are seeing here in the US. And every step higher, Brendan, in interest rates in the short term. You know, what's going to happen at the September meeting or the December meeting of this year is pricing out those rate cuts for 2024. And so it'll be a really interesting inflation number tomorrow, but also next couple of trading weeks here as rates hit new highs again, like I say, globally in the US and everywhere pretty much. And I mean, Japan's about to let them off the leash there. We'll see where they top out, because these things can change on a dime. We were looking at it earlier this week. You know, there was almost, I think, like a 98% chance that rates December of next year would be lower than where they are today here in the US. That's what the market was saying. But if inflation comes in high tomorrow, Brendan, and Powell and Lagarde and all the central bankers globally continue to say inflation fear is real and is going to be around for the next 6 to 12 months, then you might see those rate cuts priced out very, very quickly. And we'll see if 5% becomes 6% at some point, because you just saw the graphic there, 25% chance now of a rate hike at the next meeting. And I think a week or two ago, no one was thinking that we would get another rate hike after the July one. And so things are turning very, very quickly here today.
And a lot to keep an eye on, including the fact that we now get 2 months worth of data before the next Fed meeting. So, and he was referring to that yesterday as well, in the sense that they'll have a lot to digest, as they did after the pause, the hawkish pause, as we said last time. So more to come, as always. Frank Caberna, Senior Content Strategist over at IG in Chicago. We appreciate the time, as always.
Thanks, Brendan.
Always appreciated, Frank, and fantastic job as always. Only thing we could wish for is that maybe Frank could have rallied the market here. You know, that would have been nice. The analysis is great, and we all love to hear intelligent analysis. Don't like to learn something, but it's even better when a tanking market gets turned around by Frank and heads back up to the top. So, you know, next time maybe you can do that for us, Frank. I'm gonna lament this, because as that was happening, Intel broke the low, and the market's heading further down, but this actually held the bottom, so I got trailed out of Intel. Maybe some signs of strength, because, I mean, the NASDAQ is still, like, it's all red on my 15-minute. You're actually breaking past lows. You're getting to that support from yesterday's bottom. Intel decided to want to make that bottom, you know, and actually hold it. So fair enough. I'm now out of that one. Oh, that smells delicious. I knew this was going to happen. No, Sean grabbed the coffee, and it smells.
No, I just reheated mine from the morning, because you know you like the hazelnut.
Yeah, it's the hazelnut. It's like he has a flavored coffee, and it absolutely smells delicious. And now I don't really drink coffee in the afternoon. Sometimes if I feel I need it, but I'm not really feeling all that tired. But damn it, that smells so good. I've lost my train of thought. I was about to talk about something else, and now all I can do is smell the hazelnut. So, yeah.
All right, I'll take it over. XPEV coming back into $20 again here. So we just took a long, you know, again, I don't know why I just go back to the names we've already lost on here today. Like, why don't I just stick with Apple and all those kind of names? But I felt like this was a pretty big drop here from $21. We know the news with XPEV is positive. It's XPeng, of course, but the symbol is XPEV. So we'll hold it. Like, here I am talking about it. We're 4 cents out of the money, but hopefully it can come back up. I'm watching this AMD trade as well against the bottom of the day here. We wanted this long. Now it's, I don't know, man. I thought you mentioned them, you know, maybe Frank brought this market back up.
I'm still trying to think about what I was going to say because there was another stock I was on
You're
the
just
tip of my
confused.
tongue.
128. What were you talking about? I mean, I don't know,
No, but-
Tupperware? Are you going to that
No, it
party
wasn't
tonight?
Tupperware.
I don't know. Here's Amazon right now. Amazon is now, guess what, man? If you're looking for the $4 club, you found it right there with AMZN right now, as there is the move. We still have 20%. It's right down here at 128 flat. We're short Amazon at 132. So that's going to work out for us. QuantumScape's still on the short side as well. But right now it looks like one more time, man, the chip names, I told you, we've been doing crap on these. And there it is now dropping back down in, goes AMD. Okay. But what the hell was that rally about? All right, let's take a little piece out of that. If it comes back, okay, we just got a piece. We got 10% out at 85 right there. It was almost dropping down. We're using that as our out, breaking through 70. Well, here it goes. So this is just how violent they are. You know, your net goes boom one way, boom the other way, and then eventually, hopefully, boom goes a dynamite up. But it's looking like it does want to break down right now. I don't know, man. This market is very, very tipsy-turvy down at these levels. 15.5. Okay, I mean, here goes AMD back up again. I guess we're just going to be wrong on this name. Maybe we should just, here, once again, take another 10% out at 85. Hopefully it continues to go up and we can hold some of this. But right now, these longs do not look like they're in charge. But what's up, Brendo?
This might be a record, but the Surf Air Mobility, which actually changed this to today, direct listing, guys, 301? This thing just started trading.
SRFM. You know what?
What
maybe,
are they even doing with it? Come on, that's...
Maybe IPOs are just hot again at this point. Like, I mean, the money's coming back into the market. No surprise. That was an IPO, right, Brendo? Was that an IPO? Direct listing. Okay, so
yeah, but 3
same kind of
o'clock?
difference. Well, maybe they
open it
just
tomorrow.
got it sorted out. I mean,
Yeah,
I
but
don't
open
like
it
who the hell's in
tomorrow.
charge of all these
Like,
things.
seriously, like, what is even going on here? Like, I remember when we used to...
I'll work for the NYSE.
We used to get frustrated when something wouldn't open up until like 11 o'clock, and then that's turned into, now we're waiting till after
Like
lunchtime to
3
get these
o'clock?
open up, and the bigger ones are at like 1 o'clock. That's ridiculous. It's halted the tap if you're interested in it. I mean, the chart's not going to matter in a 3-minute because you're not going to see anything, but the tap is flat. So 417, it's halted, and it looks like it was a down halt, and yeah, so it opens up, and it's already halted down once, now halted down twice. 417 is the bottom, 417 is the level. It wasn't Tupperware or Sundial, the two things I'm in. Trust me, like if the thing I forgot to talk about was one of the two stocks I was in, I'd at least remember that. It was something else, and I still don't remember. It's fine. But Tupperware is showing some signs of strength, as I was mentioning. I did not reload because it felt a bit strong. I'm going to get some out, dipping into the 70s. And again, Sundial, that just kind of is what it is. Every single penny on the way down. It just got to break even. It closed at 148. So when Tilray turned, it happened to be at the high, and 48's pretty much all the way back. There is a bounce happening in NVIDIA and some of the chips. But, the NEO road
Maybe it was Neo.
It might have been... it wasn't, but this bears mentioning because NEO got right back to that previous close. Yeah. This is where it bounced before. 1317 is the low of the day. Is it cheeky enough to go for a long here? Is there something that's going to set up a little bit better? The problem with the Chinese ADRs, power hour is not usually when you're looking for a move, but bouncing off the low, the risk reward does set up there. It might have been QuantumScape as well. It was not Intel. Boeing I did mean to get to, but nothing was happening that I saw. QS, no, that's not at 10. That's not that sexy. NEO looks pretty interesting, though.
Yeah, I don't know what it would have been. We're in QS right now, $1.50 in the money. All right, so just a quick update here on AMD before we'll talk about Day Trade the World Campus in 2 seconds. We just got some out there when it went back into the 90s. So, I mean, there's our long. You could see it right there, 110. Well, you can see the prices. 94, I don't know, that's not a great price there, but we just got some out above it there at 111, so on and so forth. So let's see if it continues to go up there, but it looks like it is about to drop down. Breaking through 69 right here, this bottom. We've already seen that come through, so if it does break lower than that, we are going to get out of that trade. And then XPEV, just because you're talking a little bit about NEO there, I don't know, again, if that's what you're talking about or not, but we got a little bit out there at 17 when it popped back up. Our long was 13s. You know, again, I'm waiting for VWAP, so hopefully we can get up to 34, 35, but we're going to need the market to bounce. And if you're wondering, hey, you'd like to trade with us here at Day Trade the World, well, this is your opportunity to do that right now. You can trade real money, gain real experience. What we're looking for is part-time traders. This is our campus program, so if you can have 16 to 25 hours a week is what's necessary for this. Right now, just included in the lovely country of Canada. So, you know, if you are interested in somewhere else, apply, hit the apply. Lots of structure here. If that's what you're looking for, it's absolutely free to join. So let's go. Tell them Sean sent you, Neil sent you. You're here from Trader TV Live to get a discount on your free enrollment. There it is, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, TMS trading. That's our simulator. Then if you pass all of that, look, tried to highlight that. Performance objectives, things like that. Then you get to go in one-on-one coaching. I mean, you can't do any better than that. This Day Trade the World, it's their campus program. Make sure you sign up today before it fills up. So that's what that is.
Don't forget that it's free.
Yeah, it's free 99.
Yeah, free is a very good price. The only thing, nothing in life is free. The only thing that you got to put in is time and effort.
Yes, sir.
Right, and that's what it's all about. And if you're not willing to do that, then trading's not for you anyway. So that's all good. It was Snapchat. Eventually, it's going to come back to me. All I had to do was like sit there and stare at my iPad. I'm like, okay, which one of these names was it? Snap's at the level that it broke out from in the afternoon, which is at 10.20. 10.20 the price. $10 was the bottom. I just got into it because I'm like, yeah, there was something else, and then I moved to level 2 to look back up at Tupperware because it was heading back up. But yeah, it was breaking out. Thankfully, it hadn't really gone too far. So I didn't have a stop order. I want to see it break that channel. I'm going to give it to the local bottom, which is 10.18. So underneath 10.18, it's an out. I don't think it has in it what it did yesterday because that was, like, that's day one. It's a day one SSR, $10 level bounce, and then there was a buy and bounce at the close. There was a lot going on for Snapchat on that rally. Like, I'm not really thinking it can do that same thing. If it were to get to VWAP or even like the 35 to 40 range, up in here, I'd be pretty happy with that. We'll take it if we can get it. Oh, Renata, check Neo long. I was just looking at that, but I knew there was something. I see exactly why you like the long here. For an out, it's always hard when like the stock closed at 13.17. So you can have that as your out. You can drop it to 13.15. But if you look at where the dip buy came in on that up move, it was all the way down here at 12.90-ish. So that's a bit of a tricky long. In the morning, if you dip buy into 13 and you're buying those teens, you can probably give it to 12.90 because there's plenty of time for you to risk 20 cents. If you get the bottom on Neo, you can get 50 to 60 cents worth of a bounce. Sometimes it bounces $1. Now at 307, that same trade, you're not really wanting to put up 25 to 30 cents worth of risk. So you need to have, it almost needs to flush the bottom, make a false bottom, and then to get me in. Otherwise, you're just stopping out at a somewhat random level, even if it was consolidation at the close. I just like the entry a little bit better in Snap because I can give it to the low of the day, and my stop as it makes a fresh low, I can get out of the trade. Where are you? Sundial keeps on going down. Tupperware, give the fill now, or this is maybe just getting too strong. I'd like to see it break this 270 level and then get into the 250s, but you've seen it. The first time it flushed, higher low. If it puts in another higher low, it's got the same top, and higher lows into the same top forms a wedge for a breakout. So it needs to start filling down here in the 70s, otherwise you could be making that breakout trade. Have not really seen too much in terms of like low float flyers that are still going, but if you see anything, let me know. I have my scanner for trade ideas, and I keep looking up at it to see if there's anything popping off.
Oh, man. Like, this is what I talk about getting a little carried away with ideas, right? And I mean, we're going to sit here, we're going to talk about some plays. AMD just dropped down, we got out of that. So that was a 25-cent hit. That sucks on that one because it did break below 69. So that was our out. I mean, it was, or 70, our out was 69. So, you know, not great performance on that last one there, longs on AMD. But what I was saying about getting carried away is right now, all I'm thinking about is where can we catch the bounce back to the long, right? Doesn't mean that there is going to be a bounce at all. So it's like, why did I go to AMD? Because AMD's up today. This is all you can do as a trader, right? It's like, you try to find names that would, in your opinion, possibly have reasons to go back up. So when the market falls like this and we get kind of a chart that's looking like this, we're just going to try to like pick little spots where we try to go back in. This is a lot different trading than some of you at home that might be trading, holding positions or looking for swing plays. You don't necessarily want to get out when this is happening. I still think 110 is a great area, but when we're trading, people said OP, other people's money. It's just, you're putting on probably a little more shares than you would have if you're just swinging a trade and you're trying to scalp some of these plays out. So I am waiting for a bigger move to the upside. But again, we look over and we see the kind of day that we're having, which has been fantastic. And it's just like, am I really going to rest on the fact that this market's down, we're below VWAP, we're below the 50 period here? Do we really want to think that the long is what's going to make us a bunch of our money back that we've lost trying to dip by, right? And so that's really the trader's dilemma, is trying to think, is the momentum going to continue, or are you going to fade some of these moves that are up to the upside? So like now that I see, like I just got out of AMD, just as we're talking, right? We got out of this at a 70 break, so 69. Now it's right back to 93. That's 30 cents. That would be fantastic for me. We would have just banked this out, been happy, and hit the money, right? But that's not what's happening. It is going to the downside right now, the market. So we'll miss this one on AMD. Should have held it, but you got to have out somewhere. Maybe in hindsight, maybe 50s. Geez, Sean. Wow, okay. But guess what else is happening? This is what we can do right now, because there it goes, man. In which one might not work, the other one may. So there goes XPEV right back into 19. Let's take some more outs as we continue to climb back up to the upside. So there's the reload down here. Not even the reload, just more share. I guess, yeah, reload. Down there, get some out the first time it comes back up, then get some more down here, then get them out when it pops back up again. So we can lose on some, win on others. At the end of the day, you're just trying to put the odds forever in your favor. And, that's why with experience and with this job, that's really what you're looking for, is patterns that you can replicate and hopefully. Oh, wait a second. Where's my out here? See, like right now, I flip over to Amazon. I check my notes. My stop is 129. Nah, I don't want this to float all the way back up to the upside. If the market's going to break, then we can get out, right? We're right at 15,600 right now. That's a key level for us. We have a key level right here on Amazon. That's a 50-period simple moving average. So we're just going to put our stop right here at 128.75. So here we are. We're going to try to save ourselves a quarter and get out right there if it snaps. That's the decisions you have to make. I look back and say, wow, we got out of Apple for the same decision right there. When it broke back up, we thought it was going to go. Then it dropped another $2. Sucks, but you're going to have to make calls every once in a while. And here goes XPeng. Wow. All right, now we're making calls, getting some more out here at 25. I was waiting at 28 there. So now look at that. Okay, no, we'll take it out there. Okay, so that's all good. We take a 24. Now let's wait for a 28 and see if we can't go back up to the upside. So in what was a miss on AMD is a win here on XPeng. So there you go. That's trading for you. Hopefully you learned a little bit there. And if you didn't, I apologize. Hit the like button anyways. Exactly.
And if you want to be in the chat, you have to be a subscriber. And just a word of advice in the chat. Like if there's one word in a really good comment that is questionable or like a curse word, you're gonna get it blocked. So NYSE actually had it's not a bad comment they're making about Intel and their earnings and saying it might not be that good. But yeah, but if you throw a cuss word in there, then no one gets to read it. So that's just a word of advice there. Everybody wants to hear good thoughts. That's what. No, it's not. I'm not. Like every now and then I'll say something off bar, but I want people in the community to be able to read when someone has something thoughtful to say about a stock that we might be looking at or interested in. So yeah, just try not to put a bunch of emojis in and then everyone gets to see your thoughts. I'm going to ring the register on Tupperware. I maybe should have reloaded, but the way I look at it is I wanted to see a reason to add to this position, which would be lower highs and lower lows. None of that was happening. So takes them out at 270. Starting to go with snap, but not really moving all that far. I look over, it's like, yeah, of course Neo goes. As I'm sitting there saying I don't like the risk reward on the trade, it would have worked. If you actually just stopped out at the previous day's close, 13.17, it's a random number that ends up being low. Every now and then, that's exactly how it works. If it curls back into the downside, maybe look for a break of that, and that gets pretty interesting as well. Rivian, that's a crystal. You might have read my mind because the second I started looking at the EV names, I remembered Rivian. I was like, okay, where's Rivian? 26 even. This just bounced off of 26 even, so that's not a bad level. If it gets anywhere back to the market is trying to make a bit of a bounce. So if you do get a leg up, we've almost gone back into the green side. Steve G, time to take money on sundial already happened. SNDL, let me go here and show you. Pretty much all out of it at this point. Dropped a bit on every single penny. And I do notice that Tilray, I got wicked out of this one, and then it's right back into the upside. So I'm pretty much all out. If sundial gets another couple cents, I trail it out. We get back above 220. Tilray could be a bit of a re-entry. I'll look for a consolidation. I'll look at the 3-minute. It hasn't held up over VWAP just yet. It's now breaking back above. This could be a late day runner. It's up 14%. It's not a bad day 2 play for a late day charge, right? Like this is only day 2 for Tilray, and there's room for it to run. So an afternoon run on Tilray is not crazy. You're still talking about a short squeeze candidate. I like this one at VWAP actually.
Okay, yeah, we had Tilray yesterday like 190, and then today it kind of starts to move upside. We got out of that at the end of the day. It was a good trade, but nice move today. Second day play is great. Tilray had earnings, plus there's rumors, obviously, about various bills passing and whatnot there. So, all right, we'll go $3 in the money and end that trade right now on Amazon. I mean, again, we held 20%, which is a pretty good move for me, all the way from the downside, all the way down here. 128.20 is the bottom. We got out at 128.80. We talked about getting out once it broke there, so we just got to follow. Look, man, if it continues to go up, continues to fall, then let it fall down. We're done. We took that out. Now on to our Nether Dollar Club member here today, QuantumScape, currently in hold on a second, I got to reset there we go. QuantumScape, what? We got filled on XPeng? Okay, we'll take that. Wow, we are at days high right now for our net right now, and you're going to see why in a minute, because XPEV, what a good hold. Holy shit, that was right now. But there we go right here. 10, I don't know. Let's hold on to QuantumScape. We're well in the money. We only got 10% left of this one, as that's near the bottom. But look what's happening right now. There goes QS. So it just wicked to VWAP or so. It got to 33s there. So what was the last second buy there at 0506? Now you're starting to get back going. If this market can run, let's just hold on to XPeng. I don't have any sales for this name yet. So we'll wait here on the upside. If it continues to break, that would be great. I feel like it just ran over one of my orders there on XPeng. I'm just refreshing. Yeah, there it is. Okay, now I have the right amount of shares. It didn't calculate that will last 28. I have a 28 fill there that we got out on. So I don't know. It's not there as a wick, but 35. So coming right back up. Let's put an offer out here. We'll get some more out near 32, then 35. And if it continues to go up, we're on XPeng here. Again, great news with Volkswagen. There it goes. Great news with Volkswagen yesterday. A second day play. We talked about being red on this name. We're going to try to turn that frown upside down right now. So XPEV right here, back to the high of the day for us, man. And yeah, this is back-to-back days where we're really excited about what this market's given us. Meta?
I don't even have that up anymore.
Nah, I mean,
that's the one. I'm not going back to the well on Meta. Like the way I look at it, like I had a better momentum trading day yesterday than today, and the only reason for that is because I went from Meta being my best stock to it being red, and I hate doing it, so I'm trying not to look at it because it's now made a bottom, but I don't know any reason why I would have picked that bottom. I would have been looking a little bit. I think I had like 310 or 311 or something around there as the next bottom. It just got to 312. I'm out of sundial. You'll see that there.
Look at AMD.
It just wicked underneath the bottom, and again, I love trading a sympathy. If something is squeezing, like a short squeeze or you can call like a low liquidity name, if that's running and there's a sympathy play, I'm loving reversals on the other name. Like it's a good setup, it's a safer setup, and if you can already see that the other name is turning, sometimes you can get short off the top or in a consolidation in the alternate name. So Snap's starting to go, but it's not really following through just yet. The market, believe it or not, is actually turning around a little bit here. I'm looking at the NASDAQ. Snap's starting to go. Do not need the NASDAQ, which has been kind of the litmus here. Don't need this turning right back down toward the bottom if you're sitting in some longs right now. Because if we head back to the low, this was just a little bit of a hiccup. You want to see continuation of this move going into 330 when we can start thinking about any potential imbalances. So this is kind of a make or break moment for the NASDAQ. High or low necessary for some of the longs. And then looking at something that might be a short. Like the first place my mind went to, again, it's Microsoft, but it's nowhere near that 333 that I wanted. You're even lower than that. You're 331.5. Wow, this didn't even really bounce all that far. Microsoft is a dog today.
Yeah, man, I want to buy some of that name. What's up to Cheddar Stacks? I like this right here in the chat right here. He took the 110 bounce. He looked at the sticky note. Everybody, there's over 4,000 people watching. Go find it at Trader TV. Sean, if you have a Twitter account, go follow me. Every single day, just some ideas, some notes, some key levels that we like. Today we have Meta, Amazon, Apple, AMD, and new sticky note formation in. So thank you, Cheddar. And I just was like, man, great trade. Great trade. Thank you for watching Cheddar Stacks. So I hope that you're doing this. That's stacking. So hopefully you're able to do that. And there it is right now. Good job, man, Cheddar Stacks. So congratulations on that play. Keep stacking them, man, every day. That's what we're doing here too. So good job on that. All right. So I just was like, oh my God, look at AMD. Like, well, we gave it obviously not enough damn room. You want to talk about risk to reward? Sometimes those risk to rewards get busted, right? And that's exactly what happened right here on that play. We got busted out on that. So what I mean by that is that right here, look at all of these longs, right? They're all basically the same. This long plus that long plus getting stopped out once we broke that wick, which was the bottom. We should have given ourselves, honestly, if we give ourselves 15 more pennies, then this is a 60-cent winner. So that's hindsight, that's trading, that's what you got to do. We're not going to, beat a dead horse or anything right now, but that was, a good opportunity to pick something up down there. And remember I said it, what's up to Cheddar Stacks again? That's exactly what we're talking about is understand the time frame of your trade versus my trade. If you guys are swinging this thing and going back and forth with it, that's fantastic. I'm scalping, that's what I am, and I just continue to do that every day. So hopefully you guys are here with us and trading similar styles, but everyone's gonna have their own style, which it is sometimes you take something out for quick hits, and sometimes you're in a trade for a while, so on and so forth. Just understand what you're doing and try to follow us for some ideas and things like that, and education, right? I mean, that's ultimately, I'm trying to give those 22 years back to everybody, and we've seen it all here, so hopefully, we're able to take a little bit of an advantage of some of these plays. And
Seen a lot.
I'm as happy as hell, man. I mean, XPEV made us the money back. So we're at days high for our net. So we're happy. We did get stopped out. Let me just review the Amazon stop, and then we'll throw it back over. So far so good there on that Amazon stop. I'm not going to cry over this trade. To the downside. We have one trade on Amazon there today. So, I'm happy sitting in XPeng right now. Maybe an AMD short, honestly. I don't know if you're looking at NVIDIA or anything.
We had a question a couple of times about Roku. They're reporting after market. We're gonna get to earnings for sure. But I was gonna ask something. You said something I didn't understand what they meant.
Let's get those likes up.
New York Jets in the chat. Principle, Neil. I'm all about principle. Principle is priceless is one of my favorite sayings in the world. I love that saying. Principles matter more to me than family first. But if you don't have principles, like you don't have anything at some point. But yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by that. But Roku reporting aftermarket. Now, what I love about Roku is it's 11% short, but highly volatile. So like the kind of moves that you've been able to see, Snapchat and QuantumScape and Teladoc and. We've seen it with back in the day when people cared about Robinhood and we used to give you moves like this on earnings, is there's going to be enough volatility for us to play off of. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to tell you that I'm a huge fan of the product or understand the market very well. I've actually kind of called this one the company that doesn't make sense to me personally, but that doesn't really matter. You've got some pretty obvious places to play off of. This isn't a strong upward trend. If you look at it off the bottom, higher lows above both major moving averages, actually the 50 and 200 converge and then kind of are going apart. So you've got support at that 65. 80 breakout. If I lose tomorrow on Roku, I want it to be, ideally it's that it beats or somehow goes to the upside and then I'm just taking an 80 long break. Like that's where I want to lose. If I lose tomorrow on Roku, I want it to be on an $80 breakout. Like that's the first thing I think about because there's so much room to the upside when it has a short squeeze. That's what you want. If it were to plunge, then your dead cat bounce is a 200 period moving average underneath 60. If it doesn't break the low, there's nowhere else to go. Like that's where I'm thinking at that point. So that's where my head's at when it comes to Roku. Just trade the action as a day trader. Yes, it's in a bit of a trend on the daily, but it's getting its butt kicked going into earnings. Maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you think they're going to beat, then that just means it has a different place to be able to run from. I just got into that Tilray off of VWAP, so that pull back in here to VWAP, give it to the local bottom. Ends up being the same price that I took it off, but you know what? I like to stop out under VWAP. I was kind of just carrying the trade from earlier on today and hadn't really done anything with it. It ends up holding that same support. Okay, let's see if it can hold it again. Get back up, maybe test those highs. The volume isn't great, but I'm not taking it as a breakout. If I needed it to break out the top on this volume, I'm not taking the break. But you can do a dip buy is not that bad because then you're already in it if it starts to go. 5 minutes to the early look on the imbalances. Tell me Vinco Ventures is moving again because that could be a little bit spicy. I did have a trade on Vinco. I tried I know, like it went and I tried to grab the consolidation. Like it bounced off VWAP, had like a short consolidation for about 3 minutes here, and then I took the break, giving it to the local bottom, looking to be long going into 5. Like I'd rather be long at 4.75 and lose 20 cents here than take a break at $5 and then not really know where I want to put my stop. So I put the risk in underneath $5. I tend to do it that way. So Vinco just made this move. It's hard not to think fade when I see this. Like, did something just happen on Vinco, or is this just Vinco doing Vinco things?
Yes.
This feels like I should be like at the short. Almost seems like the play here. Like, what is even going on? This is what it looks like on the daily chart. So this is a patented do a reverse split, have it flush, bounce off $1, and then look at it break out the reverse split high, and then it's been on a tear. 6 is a huge level. It couldn't get past 5 today. This is exactly the place I tried the long breakout, and it failed. It's hard not to want to be short to 75 here. I'll let it make a run at this top before I do so. Did I pay for I would have paid for locates. If I traded to the long side, usually I will pay for locates because I want the flexibility to change my mind, but I did. Okay, so I can short this stock.
Yeah, important point there that if, it's same as Amazon, right? We started the day long and then we hit the short when we got those spidey senses up. So the more you're trading different names, the more you'll start to understand patterns and things like that. But I just want to say, I think Bears versus Bulls hid this comment, but I just reopened it up because I feel like this is fine to say. Never paper trade. You only learn from your own pocket. I'm fine with that.
What's wrong with that?
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just that we do talk about paper trading a lot here, so shout out to D2R3KRS3. And it's just that I do understand what Bears versus Bulls is saying, so I do not have any problem with what's. I don't know what happened to the pre-market summary videos that we used to do. So we'll address that. We'll address that in a minute. But okay, what?
No, I know it's they're shorter and on social.
Yeah. So we were going to discuss that, but Brendan's just kind of letting us know about that. So you got to go on to social. There's shorts videos now for YouTube. YouTube Shorts. Go find them. We're just trying something different here. We got to get that algorithm going. You know what I mean? But okay, quickly on that note. Look, I agree with that statement, to be honest with you. I just think that paper trading, once you get to a certain level, I can't go into sim mode because it just, for me, it would never make sense to go into something. I would just lower my shares because I do believe that you do learn a lot more when you do have real money on the line. However, I do think that it would be irresponsible for everyone to say that paper trading doesn't have a place. And I think that when you're first starting out, I mean, even here on the floor, these guys got a paper trade until they hit certain levels, and Brankles is nice enough to flip the switch. So once that happens, then you're able to go into live. So I feel like every single trader has stories. I was able to make money in my very first month, so I was paper trading probably for a week. But the difference is that, everyone's going to be different. So trade yourself, and if you really feel like, look, I'm not learning anything until I'm losing real money, then by all means, set a smaller stop, right? Only deposit $1,000 into your account. Do not deposit $10,000 because then you won't stop until you run out of all $10,000, right? So if you only deposit $1,000 and you say that's worth losing, it's like me with sports gambling, like if I'm comfortable with saying, okay, the Jays are going to win, but if I lose $50 on it, I'd feel like, damn it, why did I do that? Then I only bet $20, right? And so that's the difference that you're looking at here with paper trading is don't deposit more money into whatever account you're trading if you're not willing to lose it all, if you're going to bypass paper trading. So I don't have a problem with putting real money on the line because to me that's what matters. But at the same time, there is a place for all of that. And I just think you have to understand what level of your trading path you're on, or I guess what level of your success is and where you are in your journey. That should determine your paper trading. So that's what I feel. And even when I was opening up offices for Day Trade the World, I said the same thing. You know, once you see a trader that is able to make a little bit of money, maybe you sort of speed that process up because strategies, as Neil and I both know, don't last forever.
They change too rapidly.
Daily.
I'd say. Daily. So quickly, I shorted 65, got out at 75, but I want to add to that. Like everybody starts out paper trading. What I would say to add to that is from my experience, some of the best traders I know when it comes to adaptation, anytime you're doing something new, have the humility to be able to paper trade it. So I know some guys, if you day trade the world, what I mean by that is, like you might be trying out a new market. So there's someone like brave enough, they trade the US market. So like, oh, we got Brazil, let me try trading Brazil. Never even looked at a Brazil level 2, which doesn't even look like, just as an example, let me just go, what's the first one that comes to mind? Petrobras.
Yeah, PTR4.
PTR. Petrobras is the first thing I think about. So like it's a completely different level 2. You have market makers in there instead of gateways. I have axes in there. I have Morgan Stanley. Why I have Morgan Stanley marked here is there's a story behind it, but I'm not going to get into it now. So you have market makers. It's very, very different. So when you first trade this, you might want to be in simulation mode practicing it because it's not even the same language of trading. Now, you can probably learn it pretty quickly. The other example I will use for a good time to use simulation, we had a trader come from an actual prop desk at a bank that he traded for a decade, and he came to Day Trade the World, and he needed to learn the platform. So he didn't want to come on there and just start throwing real risk when he didn't know the hotkeys or any of all that good stuff. So he did paper trade for a bit and then move on. So when you're learning something completely brand new, I think it makes sense to familiarize yourself with it before you make any mistakes. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to add to that. BBIG, Vinco Ventures, if it makes a run at the high, I should get back over here because there it goes. Now it's making the break. I shouldn't have gone to Petrobras there. Okay, it's at 5 right now. I'm looking for a fail break here to try and catch the dip. This is exactly long I didn't have, so I went for the short where the long didn't work. Now I just think you're looking for the long on a fail break. If it can hold that same 75 level, that's the continuation you're looking for. The other way to play that consolidation is to take the breakout long. It's the same risk. It failed before, so I like going in the short. Felt it went too far, despite the fact that there's nothing new here that I'm aware of. And the early look came out. It's a whopping $105 million to buy on the early look for the imbalances. So not a heck of a lot there. But it doesn't mean there won't be individual names. There was a big buy on Snapchat yesterday that ended up actually carrying it through the high of the day, and it even printed higher. So that is worth watching out for, especially around these earnings plays. Yeah, give it a little bit of a dip. There's someone playing some games on the level 2, stacking some 2,000 or 3,000 share bids on BBIG. So far, it's not really doing a good job influencing the stock. So, but if you see size on there, they're basically putting 4 or 5 gateways with the same size to make it look like there's interest. On both sides, they're doing it. But not too crazy. I do think if it can hold 475, you can retake that high. For now, it's a $5 fail break.
All right. Yeah. Just looking to see if there's anything happening now. I mean, I could talk a little bit about X. I mean, why don't we just, I'm going to get to this note by Nathan Wilder here, who's a member now for 17 months. I'm going to get to that in 1 second. All right, so as XPeng, I just want to bring this trade up because, again, remember we talked about trading different styles, trading your own book, understanding what you're doing. So that's VWAP, this blue line. So when we ripped up from 20 bucks right into VWAP, even when I entered this trade, I was like, this is where I'm getting out, right? So this one, not all trades are going to have that 5-to-1 risk to reward. I don't think XPeng even has the ability to go anywhere near even this 2060 level. I don't see what would cause that to spark up unless you get another random piece of news, right? It's different when you're trading an Amazon or a Microsoft and all you need is the market to fall and then this happens, right? So you know you can get the risk to reward on that one. XPEV very, very quietly there. Our out is 20. We're long. I mean, now we have a better long price. Our average price was 13. So when we can get up from 2013 into 26s right here, which is right here, that's 1-to-1 right into there where we take this profit. Then when you start to go up to the upside and it starts to hit your target areas, that's where you just start to get out. So again, back and forth we go, seesaw up and down. What's up to Nathan Wilder? So my answer for this is pretty simple. And the question is, just to read it to everybody in case you're listening, not watching, that seems We should have a podcast. We'll get to that after. What have you seen over the years that separates those traders who have been consistently profitable and those who don't? So for me, it's pretty simple. I know this has helped for me. I had 12 and a half years of no negative months. I would say it's just discipline. And I think, and what I mean by that is very, very specific. And that's why I get mad at myself when I lose on Meta over and over and over again, and I keep going back to the well. To me, that's a lack of discipline, trading names that aren't moving the way you think, but yet are giving a lot of action, and you just think that you're gonna be able to figure it out, right? And it's like some days it works great, some days it doesn't. So that's my own sort of thing that I have to back away from. But I would say as long as you are very disciplined as a trader and you stick to what you know has been working for you, don't try to get too cute with things, just go with what's working. For me, that's how it happens. And then we always say, well, then how could you go with what's working when we always say the market's changing? So that flips it on the other side, is that when stuff stops working for you, that's where you lower the risk until you can figure out what the next plays are, right? Like energy's been dead for a while, but now it's starting to pick back up. So you're gonna wanna trade maybe some more energy names. Banks, right? Maybe the other way. So that's what you gotta figure out, is that when stocks are moving, this will work now, but may not work later, right? Like those dollar breaks, like when Nikola broke $1 there, basically that should have been, oh, that's the kind of stock that I like. It's down at $1, it broke, so I'm going long. There may be other names like CEI or something like that, that you've seen it go back and forth like that a bunch of times. Maybe that's not the trade for you. So you got to be more disciplined in the expectations and trading strategies. Come on, XPEV. We just got another piece out there, but it is trying to fall down a little bit here. So thanks for that. 17 months. We had a 28-monther yesterday.
I love it.
Yeah, I love that too. I'm not sure. Yeah, you're welcome, Nathan, man. I mean, I do think that we are the best show on YouTube, and it's nice to get the affirmation on
I like
that
the affirmation
as well.
That's a school word. So I'm out of Tupperware. I didn't even give it to $3. As I said, it was forming a wedge, so I wanted to stop just above that little, we'll call it the consolidation top. It's like 293. So I get out before. I'll get to Vinco in a second, but to answer that question, I don't want to, because Sean just gave a great answer, but if you check out, I was on Prad's show after show on Friday. Go back and check Friday. I answered that exact same question, and I had a long answer for it, but one of the biggest things for failures that I've seen for traders, especially day trading in particular, is putting capital towards things that don't make money for them. And it's especially true of profitable traders. Like a trader gets profitable, and it's like, I make money overall, but then they don't necessarily realize the things that they do that don't make money for them. And because they're positive, they throw capital at everything, not having an understanding of what they're good at and what works for them and what doesn't work for them. So knowing thyself is a pretty important one. And again, that's good advice pretty much anywhere, I'd like to think. So if you can't beat them, join them.
Yep.
I like the long here in BBIG.
It's like the NBA strategy.
What's the NBA?
Like Kevin Durant, can't beat him, join him.
That's 100%. Okay, wow. That's you know what? I can't. It worked for Kevin Durant, but I have a
Damian Lillard.
Look. I love basketball. I really love the teams that have managed to build something.
Yeah.
And
Denver.
again, look, it is what it is. The whole build a super team. I'm not trying to hate on it. I just really do enjoy the team that they grow together. They learn to play together. Heck, the Bulls had Jordan, but they weren't great till they figured it out, made some tweaks, and built it together. Coaching came together. I love seeing that. Then you get a dynasty, and you're like, wow. This is something to celebrate. Or you could just pile a bunch of superstars together.
I mean, the Warriors probably didn't even need. I mean, look, KD is generational talent.
I mean, he's
but
unbelievable.
They built their team, man. Draymond, Steph, Clay, Jordan Poole.
The Blazers of the 70s, Steve G says, I'm not that old, man. I was
You're pretty old.
I was a big fan of George Gervin. I met George Gervin, that he played for the Spurs a long time ago. Anyways, it doesn't matter why, like it's a long story, but I met him at a charity golf tournament here in Ontario. I believe it was Michael Jordan's charity golf tournament. I was there, and you just try to get autographs, whatnot. And his cart broke down as the procession of all the stars were coming out. So everyone's coming out. They're taking pictures, trying to get pictures of Jordan and all the other stars.
To sign autographs.
And he's just sitting there, and no one's paying attention. This 6'8" dude is just standing there. His cart's not working, and everyone else is looking at all the stars coming out. I'm like, yo, that's George Gervin. I'm like, you guys do whatever. I'm going over and talking to this dude. And I'm like, yo, man, how's your brother Derek doing? He plays in Europe. I'm like, I'll name drop that, and then he's going to love love it. So I did it and it worked. So he's chatting with me. I have his autograph somewhere. Cool, dude. But I could get to Vinco Ventures. Can't beat them, join them. It dipped back in. It held 475. We grabbed the 480. It got to the high of the day. Kind of failed it underneath, so got some out, previous high. Broke 5, took some out on the north side. Now let's see it run. I don't necessarily want, I'm going to give it break-even stop, but if it gets above 5 again and reclaims the high, new trail at $5. So lost long, lost short. Now we have the long that we wanted from earlier. I still don't know if there's anything new with this stock. And everyone's just kind of dropping Lakers with Malone, Stockton, and Payton. Yeah, that's an interesting one there. The Blazers passed on drafting MJ. Everyone talks about that as a big deal, but back then, you really didn't want to have a big. That's the only defense I will say. Like, Sam Bowie had some injuries. He's not the guy that mattered.
I mean,
no
who's
one's
the guy that went #1 and Kevin Durant went to?
No, Odin. But like, it's
Odin. So there you go.
Odin, the guy never lost. He didn't lose games, man. He was so dominant in high school. I think he had like no losses in high school, like 1 loss at Ohio
Kevin Durant
State.
was like this.
And yeah, Durant was a rail, but Odin got hurt. So, you know, you play the percentages, they work out sometimes. No one ever talks about who went 2 in front of Jordan because you don't hate on Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah, wow.
Right? Like,
Hakeem Olajuwon is incredible. And it's hindsight, right? When you're a GM, I mean, you make the best decisions you can.
Yeah.
Shout out to Andrea Bargnani.
it's a tough job, man.
So people are asking about the early look on the imbalances. We didn't give it because it wasn't overly...
I said 105, didn't
Oh, did you? Okay, so that's what it is. It's a 105 buy. So if anybody did miss that. And also, people do post it in the chat because they know where to find it now. We get it from Financial Juice. That's another guy we should get back on, Tony Knack.
Yeah, get Tony
from
on.
Financial Juice. But, you know, we already got our guy there as well. So he's very similar to Frank the Tank. So we'll wait on that one. All right.
I guarantee you Frank's a lot of fun.
Nice to show a win. Yeah, we got lots of wins pumping out right now as well. QS, but we need to find something else. Let me just check in on Meta. Wow, okay. I was going to say, where's Meta right now? How about the low of the damn day again? Oh, there it goes breaking. So thank God that we have so much support here on the show for everything that we're doing. And I want to thank everybody again for that, because you guys are like, nah, stay away from Meta, my guy. Yeah, and I'm glad I kind of did, because right now we probably just would have got, you know, down there, because it just came in like crazy down there, down to 312, and that would have been my breaking spot. So really happy that we're not involved with that, because that would have just wicked us out, and we would have just got out. Well, I mean, I might have given it a little bit more room than that, but either way, man, here comes Meta right back into the low of the day. And this is, whoopsies, wrong button. This is what I mean by staying away, right? We had a read on it. We thought we were going to go long Meta today. Really impressed with all these earnings, right? But at the same time, we can't, our opinion doesn't matter. I mean, you could just draw a line and anybody can do this, and I don't even ever do it, but like, you know, this is going to be off. But right there, you just see nice trend all the way to the downside. It's okay because it lines up there, I guess. Yeah, so right there, right in again. It's never even come close to getting back to those highs there in the pre-market, and now it's just straight to the downside. So as you go, man, we could build a flag right now and go like this, but either way, this is a nice downside move here for Meta. And if I would have stayed in this, like, look where we left it out. When we were wrong at 317 off of what I thought was the bottoms there, either you flip short or you say, this is not my day, I don't have the read I need, and you get out of Dodge. And that's exactly what we did, not Dogecoin. Get out of Dodge right there. The one name that I know Neil and I were always going to be upset about when we miss it, of course, Neil, is Coinbase. And
I hate myself. Well, okay,
yeah,
that's,
I know.
that's
Don't
too
hate
strong.
yourself. You're maybe just disappointed.
It broke 100 and was just...
Yeah.
Every single day we're like, you know what? When coin is strong, we don't even touch it.
Did you
but when
even
it's
look
weak,
at what the price is?
It got to 92. I know it
Yeah,
got
it's
to
at
92.
92,
I had
so-
already. I usually do this to myself, like during lunchtime
That's
when we come back
brutal.
on. But like for 100 fail break, this is the mood that we were like the 2 or 3 times that we were short this at the 100 level. This is the move you're going for. It's the one that happens today when you're not looking at it, which is all the way back to previous support, which is, I guess it didn't get there. Distinct without a difference. It's not been bad since it got under. Like the first day was great. Like, okay, like this was okay. You could have been short at the bottom. As long as you got out, you're okay. The second day was fantastic. Then there's no reason to have played it there. There's not much of a reason to have played it there. But today, my goodness, right at resistance, flat bottom breakdown, can't hold on to 100, can't hold on to the previous low, can't hold on to the support level. Like just everywhere you would have got, breaking the bottom, everywhere you would have got short, it was just golden. Every single place at which you would enter a short trade was good on coin, and that's the day that I'm looking at everything but Coinbase. I want to get to this super chat for a second. Snap's about 2 cents from stop out. Tilray 1 cent. BBIG, it didn't break the high, so my stop is still at break even. It has to break the high of the day to put a 5 stop. But there was a super chat analysis on Enphase. I'm in a semi-risky position going into earnings. Would love to see what you guys can pull out. Love the show. We love you too. All we can do is look at the chart, right? Like, I'm not going to be able to tell you what's going to happen with their earnings and how, like, and also too, like, what the market's going to care about those earnings. It's easier to say with like big tech that they needed to do not just what we expect or a small beat, like Microsoft needed to knock it out of the park because they were so high. That's an easier thing to say. Enphase, I can't tell you anything like that. You're already under the 50 period here. I mean, the trend is not actually unbroken. Despite the fact you're above the 50, this hasn't even broken its downtrend. Maybe look at some sympathy names. It's got support at 150. Because if you go all the way back to 2022, those were sort of important levels that it bounced from, and it's managed to hold on to the last of them. So there is some support down here, but it's not a strong looking chart. The good news would be that just means it has room to run if it can catch a bit of a bid. Let me double check. I'm not aware of the short float on this stock at all, which sometimes in this earnings season round, Trade Ideas doesn't have it. Let me come back to you. I don't see anything great except for support at 150. If there's short interest, I think that buoys the stock, even if it ends up having not a great report. But I'll have to check Float Checker to see what that number is.
All right, just looking here, it's 3:45 right now. We'll see if there's any sort of an update at all on anything coming up. We do have big earnings. We've talked about that a little bit today as well. Earnings coming through tomorrow, including Enphase and Ford and a couple different names like that right now. Here's Coinbase, and this is what Neil and I were just talking about before. He dealt with that super chat right there, down 8% today. Sorry, 7%. But look at this, man, 102, 103. We've been shorting this. We took $7 on this not too long ago. But playing off that $100 level, you just kind of wait for those things to break, and that was a pretty key level. So even if you break 100, maybe you give yourselves $1 or $2, and then look at this move to the downside. But how do you predict something like that when Bitcoin's really not doing anything? Bitcoin's at 29.1. So I really, my disdain for Coinbase, I hated it down here. So now that it's up at 110, 112, and it has nothing to do with Coinbase specifically or anything. Like, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. I'd rather see people in the coin than in the exchange, but I don't know. I just feel like there's so much worry about a lot of these exchanges.
Someone's got to win.
Someone's going to win eventually, and it probably is going to be Coinbase. I mean, they're the ones here in the U.S. and trying to get all this regulation and everything passed, and they're very vocal about it. And so, I don't really have an opinion too much either way about what to do at these levels. All I know is that this, came out and IPO'd near 350. It just went all the way down recently to what, 30 or 40? Yeah, right there. I mean, look, there's a lot of names that are well off of their bottoms. I mean, to have bought this down here, it's hard to complain. But I feel like until we get that, and it's going to be too late. Coinbase, let me wrap it up. Coinbase is basically a name that I'd rather be late on the trade than early on the trade. And as soon as there's announced some more regulation that we can sort of firm up, then maybe that's when you hop into some of these exchanges. But Silvergate, FTX, Gemini, I mean, it just goes on. And I don't know enough about the structure of all of these companies to say that Coinbase is any different than any of those. So I would just say I'd rather be late than early for some of you guys talking there on the chat. The big one, yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Even technically on Coinbase, if you pull the daily chart back out, it's easy enough to look at it here and say, there's a 50, there's a 200, it's breaking out. I'm just zooming out for effect there while it's quiet. I don't know if it worked. But yeah, are you telling me, have we broken the bottom of the channel? No, that gap is right here. Like, this is exactly where it failed, is the last gap down at about the 110 area. So remember we were talking about 110 to 112 as a short area on the stock? That's what it can't seem to get through. So it's not even broken out. So whenever we say, oh, I want this to break that price up, I get it, you're buying something higher, but you're also buying it at a place where it's confirming that maybe the downtrend is broken, that shorts that have been leaning on it are having to start to cover. Because if you're short coin from up in like the 300s or like even on the 200 level or even down here at 130 and you've been hanging on to the last piece, maybe you got a break even stop, it gets above those levels like 115, 120, 130. Suddenly, that's some confirmation that it really wants to go. It's literally failing at the top of the this bottom channel, which was the nasty one back at 112. So just a couple of things for some housekeeping here, because I did give to the and I've gotten out of Tilray twice. I don't know. I guess I liked it off VWAP. It ends up that it's not the late day runner. I grabbed it here, stopped it out underneath the bottom. I still like this because it's day 2 and it has room to go, but you're out of time now for this to make a move. What I mean by that is, okay, it broke out yesterday, made another strong move today, and it's got a lot of room. The 200 period's at 270, next resistance is at 250. So there's plenty of room for it to go, but it has to get through this 220 area. If that can happen tomorrow, I still want to be looking for the long. It's not an auto short till it gets above 250. Brendo.
Yep.
Another one maybe to put on the list for tomorrow, a little one that popped up this morning on positive cancer trial data that came out. This one, URGN, just taking out the highs here on volume.
Right, well, we only have a couple minutes now, Brendo. A couple minutes, a couple
Seconds.
20 seconds right now until today's imbalances get locked and loaded. So we're going to wait to see where exactly we are on those numbers. It is imbalance time, so get ready to get locked and loaded here with only 10 seconds to go. I was looking at Disney here, just continues to go down. We talked about Disney earlier today, breaking through that cliff of 85 bucks. And yeah, it may head to the downside right now. So here we go. Imbalance is out. Normally we don't look at NYSE stocks. It doesn't look like Disney cares too much about it. We're in QS. That's not doing anything. So let's look over here. Enbridge. Ooh, one of my names right there. I mean, anybody in Canada knows I pay enough in the gas bill to not, be stubborn about it. I'm just going to start dripping my money into Enbridge. We've been doing that for a while. Intel right there, sorry, with the buy. So Intel could be something. That's another name here, INTC.
Into earnings.
Yeah, into earnings with the bid.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see if Intel wants to work out. TD there, I don't know why that's there, but again, some Canadian names showing up.
That's a decent size sell.
When have we gone through Canadian bank earnings yet? Yeah, they were probably earlier, so U.S. bank earnings, they're very similar. But there's BNS as well. So I feel like there's some sort of a rebalance happening maybe right now in Canadian banks. Like, we never see them on there. There you go, you get Bank of Nova Scotia. And I apologize, this is just for our Canadian friends out there. Downside move today for BNS, but I thought TD was a little more dramatic there. Nah, it's
A
the same.
million to buy in TD's not
Yeah, $1 million to buy on TD and $1 million to buy on BNS. So there's something there. We could check if there's anything on the
BNS is a buy in Toronto too.
Okay,
I
so
don't-
maybe something.
Yeah, TD's a small buy in Toronto as well. So like those bank earnings, well, not bank earnings, those bank imbalances are on both. I just checked out, because I saw Rivian there, like at 900,000 sell. Snap's half the buy that it was yesterday. It didn't break the low. It's back to break even for me, so maybe it does the same thing it did yesterday. I don't think you get as much out of it. But Rivian down 4% into a decent sized imbalance, 900,000. If that were to stay, that gets a little bit juicy. It's on a big pullback. I still think it's a good-looking daily chart, but it is giving up a breakout. So I'm going to be monitoring Rivian, obviously Snapchat, which I'm in. If that gets over $1 million, I think it can press a little bit further, but hasn't really been doing too much. I'm going to take advantage of that to try to get some out because it's less than 10 minutes to go.
Hey-o.
So earlier, when I was looking for the pop, I'm thinking everything 30 and above. Now, when it holds the bottom, it's like just get it out. Get some out at the local high, and then everything above that. So at 355, there's a pairing event. If Snapchat pairs off and that bid gets cut in half or gets to nothing, I just punch out. I don't really wait for it. I actually probably have a trailing, even if it goes in the money, I have a trailing stop that I move to the upside as well. So do watch out at 355. You're going to see some of those move. What is happening in big tech? There's a bit of a bounce happening in the NASDAQ. We're 0.3 to the downside, so if you bet red, you're probably right. But Microsoft just bounced a bit here. I did not see, like Sean showed you, not much in terms of big tech, but there is still a reverse anyways happening in Softy. Probably more just that shorts have to take profit too.
Brandon brought the goods there. It is $730 million to sell. So you add all that up, and again, that's just a New York number, but they are very, very similar, of course, as we sit here every day and watch this market continue to bounce around.
Yellow.
Look,
They're
QS
going
is
bankrupt.
which stock? Yellow? Is that Yellow Pages?
No, Yellow Corp. Remember I was telling you there's that trucking company that's having trouble?
yep.
I know because my buddy knows the CEO.
That's one of them, or that is it?
Oh, we're going to get to the earnings board, but yeah, this should be interesting because these guys could be, I heard they might be going bankrupt. This is Yell, and there's a buy and balance on them. But they're actually bouncing a little bit here. Maybe something to track tomorrow if you get some movement, because we've seen companies that look like they're about to go under catch a bit of a bid. I'll check the short interest when we come back, but let's look at the earnings board first.
All right, so wow, okay. It's funny that we just talked about oil names being hot again. We'll look what's on the board tomorrow. We got Exxon and Chevron coming through tomorrow. I think we had what do we have? Schlumberger recently. Oh, Vale's there as well. So there's going to be some good ones coming through tomorrow to look at. I think that the number one name, as long as what's been holding true still stays true, is going to be Roku. So we can definitely have a look at Roku and see what's happening with that name. But yeah, Ford is on there for solar. There's your end phase question for solar coming through again tomorrow as well as end phase. So you're not going to be able to get a really good read through from one without the other. Live Nation, I thought there was something passed today I read about ticket prices having to be fixed, or I don't know exactly on that. I know that there's been, oh, by the way, look what we've got on.
Oh, you got the friend bracelet.
This is a friendship bracelet. Shout out to Taylor Swift. She sent me this personally. No, it says dad on it. So screw you, Taylor Swift. I got my daughter right there. So she made that for me. And so just FYI, I have about 3 or 4 of these, plus about 1,400 Rainbow Loom bracelets as well. So that's pretty cool. But, whatever. That's dad life.
My daughter's still on the painting.
Yes.
Yes. No. I mean no painting like toes. So
painting toes.
I get I try not to do the hands because then it gets a little bit of a mess.
I keep these at the desk because that's what I do.
We've done painting rocks.
Look, go. Look, she knows I love Green Bay, but it's go Pack Go, but she goes go Green Bay go. So that was pretty cool. And then this one means everything to me right now. This is come on, as if, give me a break. Love is the best. That is our Trader TV Live building. It's brown. We have a blue Trader TV Live poster sign up on that. And then you can see right there at the desk. I told her, well, where's Uncle Neil? She's like, oh, yeah, she forgot. But right there is only one of us on the desk, but there it is right there.
Gia.
This is, exactly. So don't worry, I gave her, what.
I love Gia,
I'm going to play that back so she can see you saying boo to her.
Oh, come on.
That would be really nice. But no, all kidding aside, man. And I was talking with Bears versus Bulls, and it's like yesterday, this practice, the day before that practice, tonight's a game, tomorrow's hockey again. So basically every single day of the week, I'm busy. Saturday, Sunday, doesn't matter. But
Not
hey,
today, baby.
You only, exactly. I'm waiting for those
Thursdays.
days.
So Thursdays are free day.
Perfect.
I say free, but it's like
you still do stuff.
No, you're always still doing stuff. It gives us a chance, because she plays baseball on Mondays. When it's good weather on Thursday, we can kind of go in the back, play catch, and
that's
she gets
exactly
to practice,
what we want
one-on-one, which is
or you paint the nails. You do fun stuff like that. We just got out of QS.
So quickly, the imbalances did update at 355. Snap got a bit bigger, but it moved like 2 cents, so I took some out there. Nothing really big. AT&T's had imbalances a few times. I don't know what MRSN is, but it's only $1, so $2 million is not that big. And Wells Fargo is a sell. That yellow corp, it's 18% short, and rumors of bankruptcy. We've seen crazier things happen. I'm going to put this on a watch list somewhere, just because when it goes down this far, heck, man, we've seen stocks that are going from bankrupt. They make the announcement and shorts start covering. So if this is the bottom, like the wipeout bottom that got made on this, it gets pretty interesting. But anyways, I'm not saying go long the stock. It's been quadrang so badly, and it just broke $1 yesterday and is bouncing off 50 cents. That could be interesting if it makes a relief rally. Shorts got to cover too. They got to take profit.
Yes, sir. It's only 3 minutes right now, and then we just talked about getting out of QS. So we did, and that's it right there, breaking a little bit higher. Good trade for me on QS, man. The high, not the high of the day, but the high of this range right there. We finally, we let it fall down. That's an equally better trade, but that would have been the same setup right there, sort of giving you these, so barcoding, giving you tops. That's what we looked for right here. This top was a little more sustained, but we just went over here and noticed this. So again, I'm always talking with Michael Noss about trying to find out better scanners and things like that. I found this myself, and it was just about going over to, and this is again part of our trades of the day and different ideas that we have every single day is trade names that are in play, right? So QS today in play, so giving you this momentum to the downside. If you're looking at a name that maybe wasn't, like Ford today, right? I didn't even look at it. So let's just go over to Ford quickly here.
I looked once.
You looked at it once. So this is, again, look at today. So Ford today in what was a very active market move day. The NASDAQ's now down 0.3, was up almost 2%. So you want to talk about an active day, and it's probably very, very similar here in the S&P as well. But look at Ford. Nothing happening today. They're waiting for earnings tomorrow. So you get Ford here, opened 1382, going to close 1378 with a high of 98, that's 17 cents, and a bottom of 70, that's 12 cents. So you had a range here, top side 17, bottom side 12, right? Tomorrow on earnings, you'll probably see both of us trade this. or maybe not, but we'll at least be looking at it. I can guarantee you that. So what a difference a day makes is what I'm getting at here. Trade names that are active. You hadn't even seen me trade XPeng in the last year, okay?
Oh, I bet you that's not true.
No, I don't. I would trade Neo or Baba, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like there had to, because
No, but let's just say Li Auto then.
Okay, Li Auto.
I mean, it's the same. To me, it's the same logic. It's just like XPeng had that huge news yesterday.
I know, but it does. XPeng has like there's at least 2 or 3 times in the last year where it's moved enough. We're like, yeah, this is the day to trade XPeng. I feel like yesterday wasn't.
Yeah, I mean,
the only
earnings,
one.
I guess, is always.
His earnings too. Like it's just such a volatile stock. With only 1 minute to go.
Oh shoot, I gotta
put
get
in the
out.
chat. Snapchat is pairing off. The last I checked, it was down to less than half. It's still kind of going, but the imbalance that was there. I'm gonna
Right,
check
we're done.
up here. Load. Yeah, it's still kind of teetering that million. I don't know. It's only 30 seconds to go. It is pairing off. It's getting small. Yesterday it was holding the top end, that imbalance, and ended up going higher. So 30 seconds to go. I'm just going to get out of it. You could put it in the auction or something, but it's starting to pair off pretty big. We are going to have Katrine on the bell. Oh no, we didn't get to 1,000 likes. Only asked once. Get us to 1,000 likes really, really quickly, or Prad's going to cry. That's all I will say. No, I don't want to tell you guys it's all about that. It's all about the community in here, and I thought we had a fantastic guest. I thought I hit the countdown, but I'm
Where
going to
is
be
she?
off by a
Get
couple
going
seconds.
in there, Kat.
She's looking for the mallet. We don't have a mallet.
Ramin's got.
Ramin's got it. It's a scramble. The market's already closed. Everything is a mess. What the heck is going on?
Fight.
I don't know, like one rolls past.
I tried for
They're
everybody.
both
I
going.
tried.
The mallet's nowhere to be found. It was like a little bit disorganized there. I thought for sure it was Kat because I see her get up and it's going to be Katrine if she gets out of her seat, and then. But
What?
you can just do it. Oh, by the way, if you were watching earlier today and there was a tasty treat on Katrine's
what was
desk,
that?
it was like it wasn't a donut, but it tasted a bit like a donut. She let me have a piece because I was just staring at it. So
What were the
she's very
flavor?
thoughtful.
Like, was it like a fruity thing?
No,
Was it
like
filling inside?
I would say like just a normal
normal
an
donut.
old-fashioned type of donut, but it was a little bit. It was doughy. Is that the best way?
Yeah, I like the doughy. I used to like Dutchies.
I
and
didn't
stuff like
steal
that.
it. I had like one piece. Come on,
You did steal it.
Bears versus Bulls. I would not steal it.
You did though.
I just asked her what it was and was staring at it for a few minutes, and then Katrine had pity on me, so she was very kind. Brendan, how did the market finish up?
No. We're
No?
going to just stay here right now. Brendan's got something else
Oh,
on the go right now.
my
The
bad.
NASDAQ right here, as you guys can see, what a sort of a topsy-turvy day. Down 1/4 of a point right now on the NASDAQ and the ES. You know, again, we talked about oil being down a little bit there. We watched some energy names coming into play here today, and the banks as well. But NASDAQ down 0.2, ES down 0.64 in what was a very, very negative afternoon. I mean, the market bled all afternoon and then closing basically on its lows there. So that's never a good sign. You do get a little bit of a bump back upside, and you will get
Looks
some more
like
movement.
Intel's out.
Yeah, in both of these markets there. As you go.
Intel's out. Intel breaking 36, up like $1.50.
The only thing about these things coming out now is, you saw yesterday, Facebook Meta, actually went up to 330, then came back, and I remember because me and Pratt, I was like, oh, there goes, he was like, there goes Facebook all the way back down. So it went to like 330, then back to 300,
And then
we
back
came
and
in
forth.
this morning and it was at 328 again, and actually 330 again. So stay tuned for all of the earnings reports. So, all
Roku's
right,
up too.
yeah, what a big day it was here. Brendan, great job there with Frank Caberna. I mean, it's always amazing to have him
Love
come
Frank.
through again. So we can go to the 3-pip now. Why don't we do that if you have that, Fabian, right now? But yeah, big earnings coming through. Make sure everybody stays tuned. We don't have to do that. Stays tuned for our watch list tomorrow. Going to be very key with a lot of energy names. We've got Ford out. We've got Roku. We've got Enphase. A couple questions on that. I want to say good luck to everybody that's in any of these names. Right, Brendo? Anything
Always.
they're hitting for you? I mean, I guess Intel's out.
Mobileye, apparently, guys, better than expected. So Mobileye is still a portion of Intel's earnings,
Right,
obviously.
right.
So that portion better than expected.
All right, there it is. A big shout out quickly here as we get ready to go. Thank you to GTN for the 100. I don't know, is that Mexican pesos, $100 worth. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter the value. Thank you so much for everything. Hit the like button is what he's trying to ask about it, because he's trying to get angry. He's trying to get angry at everybody not hitting the like. So he's throwing the money. Oops, he's throwing the money around right there. So I want to thank you very much to GTN. Thank you for watching, and thank you for the super chat. That means a lot to us, regardless. So thank you so much to everybody.
I like that, Steve. Steve G in the chat.
What's he saying?
It's not stealing. It's creatively acquiring the donut from Katrina.
Tell that to the judge.
Maybe I'll try that someday. No, I will not.
We're
try
lucky that Katrine's so sweet. You know,
no, Katrine's amazing. She's honestly, you
Intel's
guys,
at 37.
You have no idea how nice Katrina is. We have a great team here. Intel's going, Roku's going, Prad's going to have it all. Let's just kick it right on over to him. Earnings, abundance, and the market red, but who cares?
Job.
Okay, I am. It is time to look at more earnings movers. Welcome to the after hours. It is time to look for Intel earnings.